like, we need to all calm down on the Joe Burrow thing.
Maybe he's from the pluribus world. Like there's some kind of weird DNA strain that Joe Burrow has been.
He's letting his hair grow, too.
Yeah.
By the way, that's one thing I should have asked him. I was like, why do they call it pluribus? I guess we'll find out. But anyway, I just want to tell you about Hyundai Hope on Wheels before we head out of Dodge here. For over 27 years, every Hyundai sold has helped fund life-saving pediatric cancer research. Together with over 850 dealers nationwide, they've raised more than $277 million, supporting over 25,000 kids in their fight against cancer. Visit HyundaiUSA.com and search Hyundai Hope on Wheels to learn more. At Hyundai, hope isn't optional. It comes standard. I also just got an email from our friends at St. Jude, Suze.
What'd they say?
I got a shot of a screen grab. I screen grab a screen. They received their check from Celebrity Wheel of Fortune of $88,000 in change.
Oh, nice.
Whoa.
Nice.
Look at you.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for second place finish.
No, he won that.
First, excuse me, you haven't watched it back on Hulu yet.
We haven't watched it at all.
I haven't watched it either.
Yeah,
I'm the only one that cares, Rich.
so, I want to thank my friends Ryan and Vanna.
Oh, I was thinking Family Feud.
No, yeah,
that's right.
That's second place.
Because I'm from New England, so I'm always going dark.
Keeping all the game shows around here. All right, that wraps it up for this show. We will see you on Friday. Hey, stop it.
Fantastic.
Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question. If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Well, have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
Your fantasy roster is set, the smack talk is heating up, and this season, ESPN Bet is giving you more ways to ride with your squad. Introducing the ESPN Bet Fan Center, where you can instantly link and bet on your fantasy teams right in the ESPN Bet app. An enhanced sports betting experience only from ESPN Bet, the sportsbook for sports fans. Download the app and link your ESPN Bet and ESPN accounts to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app, and also streaming live on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Or you can find me on TikTok at the Zach Gelb Show. We're rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. We will be joined by former NFL tight end Vernon Davis coming your way at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time. But let's start with the Lane train in Lane Kiffin. Here is the latest. And Lane Kiffin is going to have a meeting on Friday with this current athletic director, according to Chris Lowe, in Keith Carter, who's the AD at Ole Miss. They are scheduled to meet Friday, which is tomorrow. Ole Miss has an off week this week, and then they will wrap things up on their season for the Egg Bowl next week. And we're all sitting here waiting on a Lane Kiffin decision. I know Lane Kiffin has shot down this report, but there was a report out there that he has an ultimatum from Ole Miss that the day of the Egg Bowl, they want to know what the heck is happening. And I think there's many opinions on this, but I was reading Matt Moscone did a great job covering all things Louisiana sports, and he said there's two primary reasons for this meeting and the urgency by Ole Miss. First, Kiffin's decision will provide clarity for the College Football Playoff Selection Committee as they consider Ole Miss's resume. The committee is allowed to consider unavailability of key players and coaches when determining the field. Second, if Kiffin were to leave for another job, Ole Miss would need to begin its search for a new coach in earnest. So, okay, two parts of this. The second part and the latter part of this report is no crap on the reasoning. If Lane Kiffin's going to leave, with how quickly these things move and how you could turn your roster overnight via the transfer portal, and how every kid, the minute the coach leaves, can enter the transfer portal for, I think it's up to 30 days, free of charge, you need to figure out as quick as possible who your next head coach is going to be. And if you see Lane Kiffin go to Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin, he came to Ole Miss coming from FAU, where he kind of started to restabilize and restore his image, and he goes to Ole Miss, he made Ole Miss a destination now. Like, Ole Miss was not this great program before, don't get me wrong, it's in the SEC, but Ole Miss got a lot of money. And you could win in some capacity at Ole Miss. Now, can you win a national championship? I don't know. Can you win the SEC? I don't know. But can you have a team in this current structure that is a 12-team playoff format be in the college football playoff? Absolutely. I know it didn't work last year, but they just missed out. If Ole Miss didn't lose to Florida in the swamp last year, they would have been in the college football playoff. This year, they're going to be in the college football playoff, or so you would think. Let me send a message to the College Football Playoff Committee. If we get an alert after the Egg Bowl that Lane Kiffin's going to LSU, that Lane Kiffin is going to Florida, You should not hold that against these kids. In a 12-team college football playoff format, it's not 4. I know the Florida State fans are going to say, oh, what about Jordan Travis, all that stuff. But if Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss, you should not hold that against those kids. And they should not be told, oh, your coach leaves, therefore we don't value you, therefore you shouldn't be in the college football playoff. Now, maybe they're going to drop him down a few seeds. That is a possibility. Even I think that is ridiculous. I get it. Coaching matters. Lane is one of the best coaches in college football, but we shouldn't screw over these kids that have been there if the coach leaves and say, oh, you would have been a 6 seed if your coach would have stayed. Now we're going to make you a 10th or 11th seed. Or, oh, you know what? Maybe we just won't even put you in the field. If that happens, that's a disgrace. A complete and utter disgrace. And let me also say this. If it does happen, I will think differently of Lane Kiffin. If you want to leave to take a bigger job when you are playing in an irrelevant bowl game, I won't hold it against you. Like, if you're a G5 coach, you want to get a Power 4 conference, you missed the irrelevant bowl game, whatever. If you're at a smaller Power 4 school, you missed the irrelevant bowl game, whatever. We're talking about the college football playoff now. If you're Lane Kiffin and you have a good job in Ole Miss, all right, maybe you want to go to Florida, maybe you want to go to LSU, you could decide that, but don't abandon your team. You don't abandon your team when they're in the college freaking playoff. They're in the playoff, and you're going to abandon them? That's ridiculous. That's disgraceful. That's if it happens. I will think very differently of Lane Kiffin. I like Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is great for college football. But if Lane Kiffin bolts Ole Miss for Florida, bolts Ole Miss for LSU, and abandon those kids before they play in the college football playoff and before their season ends, when they arguably have a chance to go win a national champion, Lane Kiffin will become the most polarizing person in the sport, and he'll be the biggest villain in the sport. And I will go from liking Lane to disliking Lane. That is if he leaves and abandons his team. All right? You want to do that for an irrelevant bowl game? Be my guest. Not the college football playoff. That's number one. Now, let's hear a little bit about this. Lane Kiffin was on the SEC teleconference, as they do each and every week with the coaches. And Lane Kiffin was asked straight up when he will decide where he is coaching next.
I mean, like I said, I'm saying the same thing for 6 years. I'm not talking about speaking on other jobs. I'm focused on this one. And, you know, I guess that's kind of spiraling off the question before, like, are you coaching in the game? Like, I don't even understand what I don't even understand what the question is. Like, of course I'm coaching. I mean, unless you guys know something I don't, or I'm getting fired and I don't know it.
Is there a possibility you could take another job before the postseason?
I'm not speaking on other jobs.
Oh, boy. You could never win on this one. And I will fully admit it. Fully admit it. I have flip-flopped on this day in and day out. I think it was on Tuesday. I came on the air and I said, I think Lane Kiffin's leaving. All aboard the Lane train. Choo-choo. He's going to LSU. And then yesterday I said, if you put a gun to my head, I would feel very uncomfortable with this situation. But I'm going to say that he's staying in Oxford, Mississippi. You want to know why it makes it so just tough to predict Lane Kiffin? And I don't mean this in a bad way, but he loves being a drama whore. Like, if we're talking about reality TV, you know, Real Housewives of New Jersey, if you wanted to talk about whatever these other shows are. What was the show that I watched the entire... Love Island. That was the show that I watched this summer. Like, Lane Kiffin doing his hot yoga with all the antics that come with Lane Kiffin, his personality. He is made for reality TV. And college football is an extension of reality TV. Like, think about it. Yesterday we had John Summerall on on the show. John Summerall is talking about his coaching future. And while talking about his coaching future, he's like, hey, I know my family has been here at Tulane. You know, Lane Kiffin, his family, they're on planes to Gainesville. They're on planes to Baton Rouge. I know where my family's at. And then we hang up the Zoom with John Summerall, and 90 minutes later or less, there's a report that John Summerall is going to be meeting, which would have been today. It was yesterday, so tomorrow, with Florida. And then it comes out by the end of the time we got off the air that that meeting was canceled. So now I'm sitting there and saying, well, did that meeting ever get scheduled? Like, could part of me say, okay, John Summerall was going to meet with Florida? Yeah. But maybe John didn't want to get that out, right? A Thursday before a game that you're meeting with another program while your team's trying to go make the college football playoff. So maybe he canceled it. Or can we get a little detective work here? Could this have been Florida putting out that they're going to meet with John Summerall, or maybe misleading a reporter, because it started from an On3 reporter that covers the Gators, if my understanding of this is correctly? Could maybe Florida give a little misleading news or a little fake news to that reporter? And you may say, Zach, why? Well, where was Lane Kiffin's family this weekend? Gainesville. Well, there's a supposed deadline on a Lane Kiffin decision with Ole Miss. Maybe Florida's sitting there saying, okay, we fired Billy Napier a few weeks ago. Lane, we want you. You're our target number one. However, a domino just fell this week. James Franklin, he's off the board. We don't want to be waiting for the smoking hot girl to show up to the dance. And I'm sitting there being the nerdy guy thinking I have a chance to go home with the prom queen. And then the prom queen never shows up. Or the prom queen misleads me, maybe makes me, buy her some fruit punch at the high school dance. And then the next thing you know, she's going home with somebody else. And then you're SOL, and then you're going to the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth option. Because once one job goes and Virginia Tech goes, the others are going to follow. And this could be, I'm not saying this is, but this could be Florida maybe doing a little shady business to try to corner Lane Kiffin and force him to make this decision as soon as possible so they can get their answer. And if it's a yes, yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, right, we get Lane Kiffin, the savior in the swamp. That'd be a good T-shirt, by the way. The savior in the swamp. We should get on board with that. We should start crafting up those T-shirts ready to go in case if he does go to Florida. And then if not, then you start to court your Summeralls or your Drinkwitzes, Jed Fish, Alex Golish, Kenny Dillingham, whoever that may be. So I don't know what to make of the Summerall stuff. I really don't. And it wouldn't shock me if I'm right on that one, that maybe that was Florida misleading a reporter. By the way, this was John Summerall with us yesterday on the Zach Gelb Show, right here on the Infinity Sports Network, and all the coaching speculation regarding him. And this was about 90 minutes before, even less than that. This report came out that he was going to interview with Florida today, but then since then that meeting has been canceled or that meeting was never scheduled. Listen up. Yeah, and I do get a chuckle on the internet with these coaching searches, with the assumptions on private planes, and then also even yesterday, I don't know if you know this, for an hour, your Wikipedia page already had you as the head football coach at Auburn. So, stuff like that just happens. You see any of that stuff?
I did not see that. No, I don't really I'm off of social media other than Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. I deleted Facebook because I had, people I didn't know who they were trying to message me. And people, I just got tired of having to figure out, do I want to add this friend or confirm? Or I'm like, no, I don't want to do any of it. And then I deleted Instagram or deactivated that too. I stay on Twitter. Don't look at Wikipedia ever. Never even looked at that, so I don't know what that's all about. But no, I do know. I think Lane Kiffin's family's been in Gainesville and Baton Rouge, so I don't know what that's all about. But my family's been in New Orleans. I'll just say that.
So here's the thing: his family could still be in New Orleans, and he could still have had an interview scheduled with Florida for two reasons. Number one, Florida could have been coming to him. Or number two, it could have been some preliminary talks. And guess where that could go on these days? Via Zoom. So your family could be in Tulane. You could be in Tulane. And the powers that be could be in the swamp in Gainesville. And they could be communicating with you via Zoom. And the powers that be on the internet. So I just thought that was an interesting nugget that we got thrown into yesterday. Now, let's get back to Lane Kiffin. Here is Joel Klatt. He was on The Herd with Colin Cowherd. And Joe Klatt has been like me. He's been all over the place and trying to find a lane to predict what's going to happen with Lane Kiffin because of how much Lane Kiffin just loves being a drama whore, loves being the star in the reality TV show. I wake up one day, I think he's going to LSU. I wake up the next day, I think he's staying at Ole Miss. I wake up another day, I think he's going to Florida. And Lane loves the mystery. Lane loves the drama wheel, just spinning and 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 spinning. And all of us trying to just sit there and guess and make these assumptions on what he's going to do. Nothing will shock me here. If we find out that Lane Kiffin, after the Egg Bowl, it gets announced that he's going to be the next coach of Florida, wouldn't be shocked. If you tell me he's going to be the next head coach at LSU, wouldn't be shocked. If you tell me he stays at Ole Miss and this was a dog and pony show, wouldn't be shocked. But this is what I will say. Lane, you owe it to your kids at that program to make that decision as soon as possible. And also, the College Football Playoff Committee, I will be so livid with you if you harm the Ole Miss program and you hold it against the Ole Miss program because their coach left. Like, these players are damn good. Kewan Lacey's a heck of a running back. Trinidad Chambliss, a heck of a story at the quarterback position. This football team has one loss this year. And the one loss they have was because they imploded in the fourth quarter up against Georgia when they were kicking Georgia's ass for the first 3 quarters. So if Lane wants to leave, and if Lane wants to go down to the swamp and be the savior of the swamp, or if Lane wants to go to Baton Rouge, let him. That's fine. That's in his right. But it would be really, really nasty. It would be really, really dirty. It really would be if he left those kids, which he will. If he goes to Florida, if he goes to LSU, it would be nasty and rotten if he leaves the college football playoff team. Like if you're playing, no offense, in the Cheez-Its Bowl or the Pop-Tart Bowl or the Mayo Bowl, whatever they call these things these days. These irrelevant bowl games, and you want to leave to take a bigger job or you want to leave to take another job and you don't be there for your kids in the bowl game, so be it. When you're in the college football playoff and you have a chance to go win a national championship or you have a chance to go win multiple games in the college football playoff, man, you would be one villain. You would be one polarizing coach if you left your team before completing the season in the college football playoff. Here is Joe Klatt on his prediction on Lane Kiffin's future.
I think he's going to Florida. I really do. I think he's going to Florida, and I think he's going to be the next coach of the Gators, and I think that we're going to have one of the biggest messes in college football history go down before the playoff when Lane Kiffin steps away from a college football playoff team and goes to coach another team.
Ugh. Disgusting. That would be disgusting. But you know what? It's the system. Can we fix the damn calendar in college football? How this is even a possibility that you could have a coach, whether he leaves or not, but if he does leave, he will be abandoning his team before the college football playoff. That's nasty. That's rotten. That's disgusting. But it's the damn system that this is even a possibility. That Lane Kiffin could go be the savior of the swamp, or Lane Kiffin could go to LSU and just say to his kids before the college football playoff, yeah, I'm not going to be there. And then those dopes that run the college football playoff committee will probably hold it against his players and maybe kick him out of the playoff or then drop him down to like the 10th or 11th seed. It's gross. It's slimy. And you know what, Lane Kiffin, I like you a lot. I think you're great for college football. You're a coach with personality, right? There are many great things that you do for college football, and I admire your story. But if you leave Ole Miss before the season ends to go to LSU or to go to Florida and you leave those kids at the altar, shame on you. It would be repulsive. It would be disgusting. But maybe I shouldn't be mad at Lane because, maybe, he wants to go take the job and do what Steve Spurrier did years ago. Maybe he wants to go to LSU where 3 coaches have won national championships since the year of 2000. But the fact that the system and the calendar allows this to happen is gross. Finish the damn season. Finish the playoffs. This is not an irrelevant bowl game. It's the college football playoffs. And there's a possibility you're going to leave your team before that? Ugh, makes me sick. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. We're coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Week 12 does kick off tonight in the NFL, and it's a Thursday night matchup that, let me be honest with you never know how these are going to play on out. And Thursday nights, they're usually sloppy football, and I can't really blame Al Michaels for practically sounding like he wants to go to sleep during most of these games. But when you have the Bills and the Texans are without C.J. Stroud once again, and it's Davis Mills going up against Josh Allen, I get it. The Buffalo Bills are coming off a huge victory up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where Josh Allen had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 touchdowns in the game. Man, that's like the highest I've counted in years. 6 touchdowns. Maybe he got 7 tonight. Who knows? But anyway, with the Bills and the Texans tonight, I'm not anticipating this to be a good game. I'm just not. Now, can it be a close game? Sure. Doesn't mean it's a good game. We see a lot of close games in the NFL, and it's like, please, no mas. No mas, por favor. That it's just really, really, really ugly. But with the Bills playing the Texans, let's make this into a bigger national topic. There is a tremendous amount of pressure on the quarterback head coach duo of Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. You have been knocking on the door the last few years. Knocking. And the team that always takes you out, outside of the 1 year when it was the Cincinnati Bengals, are the Kansas City Chiefs. There is a chance that the Kansas City Chiefs do not make the playoffs. They are right now 5-5. The Chiefs play the Colts this weekend. They could lose that game. They very may well lose that game, and then they'll fall to 5-6. So I still think Kansas City's going to make the playoffs, but there's a chance they don't, and even if they do, they're going to be limping, and I mean limping into the postseason. So with all that being said, your kryptonite may not be one of the 7 in. Regardless, even if your kryptonite is there or not, they're not as strong as they once were. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that the Bills defense and Sean McDermott and the special teams can't dribble down their leg if they go up against the Kansas City Chiefs. They absolutely can. Because every time we see the Bills play the Chiefs in the regular season, the Bills win. Then we see the Bills play the Chiefs in the postseason. Josh Allen puts on the cape and he's like, Superman! He's unbelievable. And then Tyler Bass misses a kick when the game is on the line. Or, I don't know, the defense can't find a way to hold the Chiefs at a field goal range for 13 seconds. There's always something crazy that happens. And even that one game, remember when it was the 13-second game where Gabe Davis had 4 touchdowns. Imagine telling someone that Gabe Davis would have 4 touchdowns and the Bills don't win that game. So there's always something crazy that goes on. But you're either not going to have the Chiefs in the playoffs or the Chiefs are going to really be limping into the postseason. Where, don't get me wrong, you don't want to see Kansas City if they get in the postseason. But there's a chance that they're in there and they're not as strong as they once were. So with that being said, I could argue that there is no head coach or quarterback duo this year under more pressure to get to the big game, to get to the Super Bowl, than Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. So let's skip around the room here. We'll give 2 choices each. Who is a head coach or quarterback duo that has a tremendous amount of pressure on them the rest of the season? I'm going to start. I'll give 1. Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat. Yeah, I know they're nice folks in Green Bay. I know a guy like Bart Winkler could be a minority owner of the team with how that structure is. But when you are Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, you have a team this offseason that was viewed as good. Really good. And then a week before the season started, they made an explosive trade. They went out there and they got Micah Parsons. And when you get Micah Parsons and you draft a wide receiver in the first round for the first time since 2002, there's a certain buzz that was brewing around the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, since saying goodbye to Aaron Rodgers, the last 2 years, they've made the postseason with Jordan Love. First year, they made it to the divisional round. They beat the Cowboys in that wild card round. Then Jordan Love threw that ball across his body, got picked off. They lost to the 49ers in the divisional round. And then last year, they went up against the Eagles. They lost to the eventual Super Bowl champs, and the Packers spent the whole offseason until like the week before the season started bitching about the tush push. I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love because in this NFC, who's really that strong? Like the Rams are good. The Seahawks just had Sam Darnold throw 4 interceptions. The Lions are struggling. The Bears are 7-3, but I don't think anyone thinks they're super. The Eagles, they have problems. It seems like that locker room's turning against Jalen Hurts. So there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. And if the Packers don't go or don't turn this around and look like a stronger product, I don't think it's crazy to say that Matt LaFleur could be out at the end of the year. Both those guys are good. They got to show me that they could be great. So I'm going Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love as my first quarterback-coach duo that has the most pressure on them the rest of the season if you take Josh Allen and Sean McDermott out of the mix. All righty, Stu, who's your first one?
All right, so I don't think either of these guys.
I don't know. Can you guys hear all the construction that's going on upstairs?
Yes, I don't think you can hear it on the air, but we can hear it here.
I am sitting here while I'm doing that award-winning radio in the Open, where I could get nominated. Who knows for a Marconi, just shredding the college football playoffs and the possibility they may screw Ole Miss if Lane Kiffin's leaving. And I just hear like this thundering loud noise, and my desk that's sitting in front of me is shaking. Now they're doing construction upstairs, and then for a second I thought that the microphones were going to go out, because in my headphones I just hear, if I take a breath, like a silence, and then you really hear the construction that's going on upstairs. So there is, this may not sound right, there's loud banging going on in this building. A lot of banging going on in this building. It literally sounds like that. And a lot of construction going on. And the building is shaking because of this. I thought we were going through an earthquake there for a second. I would love to be on the air when there's an earthquake. I think that'd be pretty cool. I wouldn't love that there's an earthquake. But if I'm going to be somewhere where there's an earthquake.
Like a major earthquake, or one of the ones we've gone the past few years where it's like a small.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Like a little minor one.
Minor, yeah.
And we've, like, I think it was Bill Ryder who was on the air when there was a minor earthquake. Like, just give me like a little minor earthquake. I thought that was my moment. Because then I could show my radio toughness, baby. How tough I am. Yeah, I'm a man. I'm 40. Well, I'm really a man that's 31. But you get the point. It's like, it's one of those tough guy moments on the radio. Or we all try to act tough, but that would be a pretty cool, badass moment. All right,
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Who is your head coach and head quarterback that has a lot of pressure on them?
All right, so I don't think these guys are going to lose their jobs if they don't, make a deep run or win a Super Bowl. But I think there's a lot of pressure on the Broncos duo of Bo Nix and Sean Payton. And obviously the team is doing really well this year. They are 9-2, but they are a team that is carried by probably the best defense in the league, a team that's allowed the third fewest yards per game, a team that has the most sacks by a lot. They have 49. The Falcons are in second with 34. Great offensive line. Basically, Sean Payton came here and kind of put a lot of his eggs into the Bo Nix basket, and the team is good. The defense is sensational, but is Bo Nix good enough? Can Sean Payton coach his team to a deep run? I think that is the question.
They're kind of in that Packers territory where, okay, year one, coach, quarterback, they look really good. They make the playoffs. And then year two, they're looking really like where the Packers were last year, I think, is where the Denver Broncos are this year. The question is, can they take it to that next gear? And hey, they're 9-2 right now. It's weird that we're sitting here and we're talking about the Broncos potentially winning the AFC West. You would think that would be the next step for them. But in a year where you could potentially beat the Chiefs to win the division, I don't think Kansas City's going to win the division. If you then don't capitalize that on the postseason, and let's say you lose the wild card weekend or you lose in the divisional round coming off the bye, I do think we would look at the Broncos differently. Like it feels like the Broncos this year, with the way that they're playing, they're going to have to get to an AFC championship game. And imagine if I told you, Stu, before the start of the season, hey, the Broncos win the AFC West, but then let's say they lose wild card weekend, they lose their first playoff game. Then it's a good season, but it would leave a bitter taste in your mouth. So it's interesting how expectations can quickly change in the midst of a season. KP, what do you got?
Yeah, Zach, what's going on? I put down the Atlanta Falcons, and here's why. A lot of the time, injury, excuse go hand in hand. Oh, but this quarterback was hurt. Oh, but their star edge rusher was hurt. Oh, this and that.
Yeah.
I'm going to come at you from the other perspective here as the desk just trembles
yeah.
beneath me.
A lot of banging going on upstairs.
Is that this is going to be a moment where Raheem Morris, someone who I believe is on the hot seat, I think everyone can see the steam.
I wouldn't have hired him.
Everyone can see the steam rising from that chair right now. I think they're going to say, hey, show us what you're made of. The going is getting tough. Are the tough going to get going, or what's happening here? And Kirk Cousins very well could be playing for a potential extension of his career. Like, right, I agree with you, right? But if there was any chance for him to show that he was not, it's right now.
All right, let's do an exercise here. Little spread guess, right? Browns and Raiders, we did this yesterday, and I said I love the Browns because they're a 4-point dog up against the Raiders. The Raiders shouldn't be a 4-point favorite against any team in the NFL. What's your guess this week? You do have the Saints and the Falcons is the matchup. Who do you think is the favorite right now, and what is the point spread? This game is in New Orleans. So it's New Orleans is the home team. Saints coming off I believe the Saints are they? Yeah, they're coming off a bye. And Atlanta just lost their quarterback for the season, Michael Penix Jr. Stu, what do you think the spread is?
Going to say Falcons by 2.5.
Okay, KP?
Give me Saints 1.5-point favorites at home.
Okay. So it opened up as Atlanta was like a 2.5 or a 3.5-point favorite. The line this morning was at Saints -1.5. It is now up to Saints -2.5. So
they don't trust Kirk Cousins, do they?
let me tell you something. I am going to make 2 repulsive bets this weekend, and I'm not going to watch the game. You know how I said yesterday I want to watch Browns and Raiders?
Yes.
You know, I think these are one of these games you bet it and you forget it. I'm going to take the Browns +4. I may even do this in a stinky parlay. Here's the Zach Gelb stinky parlay of the week. Bet it, forget it. Shout out Stu Feiner and Jersey Jerry. +4 Browns. +2.5 Falcons. That's what I'm going with. How do you like that? Oh, that's disgusting. But to your point, I wasn't thinking of the Falcons because Michael Penix Jr. is out for the year. But now we'll see what Kirk Cousins can do. And I don't have much optimism outside of the fact they're going up against Saints this week. And then also, Raheem Morris hasn't won a game since they beat the Buffalo Bills. That team is just totally donezo, in my opinion. All righty, Stu. Actually, let me give you my second one, and then we'll skip around the room one more time. I'm going to go Dan Campbell and Jared Goff. 2 years ago, you're in an NFC Championship game. You blew it against the Niners. Last year, the number 1 overall seed, you lost to the Washington Commanders in the divisional round coming off the bye. This year, you have your offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, who's coaching the Bears. You have Aaron Glenn, who stinks. He's the defensive coordinator. He is now coaching the Jets. So you have Kelvin Shepard, and then you have John Morton. But Dan Campbell's taken over the play calling. The defense, Aiden Hutchinson, could potentially be Defensive Player of the Year. Jared Goff, we're getting into something where he's inconsistent. If he goes over 30 passing attempts a game, they don't play all that well. But the Lions have a lot of talent. And the NFC, there's a lot of good teams, but the NFC is open. You've been knocking on that door. This year, Dan Campbell and Jared Goff, you're one of the more talented teams in the NFL. Even if there's been some rough turbulence here the last few weeks, you got to find a way to put it together. And Dan Campbell would show you that you're more than just your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator from a year ago. And from Jared Goff, you've been to a Super Bowl with the Rams. Now let's see if you get to a Super Bowl with the Lions. So I'm going Campbell and Goff. Stu?
All right, I'm going with the Steelers duo of Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Steelers got off to a really nice start this season. They are now 6-4. The division, I know the Ravens are kind of red hot, winning 4 straight, but it's a division that they should win, especially with all the injuries to Lamar and Burrow, and obviously the Browns at the bottom of the division. And then you have Aaron Rodgers, who is in his last or second to last season, and you have Mike Tomlin, who hasn't won a playoff game in a decade. So I think those guys need to show something, and if they win a playoff game, I think that'll be really big for them going forward.
All righty, KP, final one. Send us home.
I went ahead and picked a winning team because their fans have experienced something that they did not see coming. Mm-hmm. When I was texting with one Ryan Hickey about Lou Anarumo being the defensive coordinator, I said, Ryan, this guy is legit. The Bengals are dumb, and the Colts are not. The Colts did a smart thing. This looks like a good coaching staff. This looks right. I never saw this coming. Never. Not at all. And especially not with Indiana Jones. So, for a fan base that has now experienced the taste of winning, all of a sudden, they went from you couldn't see them in the national spotlight with the telescope to you don't need anything. They're right in front of you. This is the Indianapolis Colts. They got a 2-game lead in their division. Is it time for things to crumble? Are we going to see the Jones we know? Or are we about to learn someone new? Are we about to learn what Indiana Jones looks like in the playoffs?
Yeah, Indiana Jones. Jonathan Taylor. You put Indiana Jones with a good running back, he can do well, right? Like he did it with Saquon Barkley with the Giants that one year. Doing it with Jonathan Taylor. You just got to cut out on the turnovers. That's what it comes down to there. Shane Steichen, though, is doing a good job. We'll give him credit. All right, real quickly, Pete Thamel is reporting that Baylor's expected to soon announce the departure of athletic director Mack Rhodes. He's on leave from the school for personal reasons, and the sides are planning to announce he's stepping away immediately. So Mack Rhodes is going to be out. And also, if you've been following Baylor football this year, I would anticipate that Dave Aranda is going to be out as well. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Old Trapper. Listen up, not all beef jerky is the same. Old Trapper is better for you and higher in essential protein than chips, sugar-filled energy bars, or candy. So ask for Old Trapper by name because no other jerky compares. Old Trapper, what's your beef? A couple of quarterbacks are in line to return this weekend. Joe Burrow is practicing for the second straight day after being out the last 10 weeks with a toe injury, and Jackson Dart close to being cleared from concussion protocol, practicing again today. Week 12 begins with the Bills and Texans in Houston. C.J. Stroud misses his third straight with a concussion, so Davis Mills will start once again. Josh Allen is rolling, coming off a 3-touchdown, 300-yard passing game in a win over the Bucs Sunday, but is leery of the Texans' top-rated D.
They're fantastic in the back end. I think their front is great. They're getting a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks. So, yeah, we're going to have our hands full, but, again, on a short week, just trying to put together a game plan, watching as much film as we can, trying to develop as good of a plan we can, and ultimately comes down to executing on Thursday.
Allen won't have Dalton Kincaid or Curtis Samuel to throw to, as both have been ruled out, and Texans running back Joe Mixon has yet to play this year, and ESPN reports his foot injury won't keep him sidelined the remainder of the season. I'm Rich Jacob.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, I did not anticipate us to be reacting today to a fight between my quarterback. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. And Drake May, as I guess he is now in a feud that he didn't even try to start. Drake May was just answering a question he was asked in a classy way. And then I like Stephen A. Smith, I do. But with that being said, I thought Cam Newton act like an ass. To be fair, I've seen the Stephen A. Smith commentary. I'm going to wait to listen to it until I got to the studio today and until we hear it right in this segment. But I heard, I listen to Drake May's interview on WEI each and every week. I go back, I listen to Vrabel, and I listen to Drake May. And then I also go over to 98.5 The Sports Hub in Boston. They have Greg Bedard on each and every week, which I love him with Felger and Maz. And they, gives his big boy takes and big boy breakdowns and all that stuff. So since they're my football team, I consume a lot of content with the two sports radio stations out in Boston. So I knew what Drake May said, and it was basically nothing. And then Cam Newton, who Drake May grew up idolizing Cam, and Cam, he could say the Patriots are fool's gold, but then he gets into this, poking the bear nonsense, which it was just ridiculous. Cam comes off very sensitive. I haven't heard the Stephen A. Smith stuff yet, but I see everyone is just obliterating Stephen A. Smith on social media. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. You may not like Stephen A. I respect what Stephen A. does for this business. I like tuning in from time to time to First Take. I'm not going to tell you I sit there and watch it religiously each and every day. But I do have First Take on, and I think when Mad Dog's on with Stephen A., it's fun. I'm not a huge fan of Cam Newton product, which, if I'm just going to be honest, I used to defend Cam all the time. I liked Cam when he was a player. I thought some of the crap that Cam got was unfair. But Cam, the broadcaster, he's just not prepared. He's just not. Last year, he was trashing Notre Dame. No one wants to see them in the playoff. They don't deserve to be in the playoff. And then they're in the national championship game. All right, he looked like a fool for that. So let's get into all this. So I guess this started where Cam was on the ESPN and they're doing a segment, and Cam said that the Patriots are fool's gold. This is Drake May on Sports Radio WEEI responding to Cam Newton's comments.
You're familiar with this guy, and he played for the Patriots. Cam Newton said the Patriots are fool's gold. That was his words, not mine. Do you hear those things? Do you react those things? Any comment on that?
Oh no, I don't even. I don't even know what show he's on. I think they get paid to make remarks and make certain comments. So, just worried about what people in our organization think and worried about what we think and my teammates think, and everybody's gonna have different opinions. So, we should go out there on Sunday and worry about ourselves.
Like, Drake May is the last person that's going to try to start a controversy here. So because he just said, I don't even know what show Cam's on, that's a shot, like that's a dig? Come on. You're asking the guy a question. He's responding to the question. Whether he's seen it or not, it's irrelevant. It's just, I don't tend to listen to that. And I'm just focused about the people in this building, and we're blocking the outside noise. It's like the easiest answer, quarterback one-on-one answer you could ever give. So Stephen A. Smith fired back at Drake May. This was on First Take earlier this morning.
He's also a liar. He's also a liar. Is the #1 show on ESPN spanning 20-plus decades. First Take is the #1 morning show, 13 years and counting. April will be 14 years. Don't tell me you are an athlete and you don't know that. Don't tell me you are an athlete and you don't know that Cam Newton ain't on this show. You're lying.
Are you? Like, are you really lying? Is it inconceivable? Like, don't get me wrong. Do I think Drake May knows that First Take exists? Yes. Cam, I think, is a new addition to the show. I think he was part-time last year, and now he's not full-time, but they have him on regularly this year for football season because of the whole Shannon Sharp stuff. Is it that crazy that Drake May didn't know where it was said? Is it that crazy? Like, I don't think so. Honestly, when I think of Cam in the media, I think of his podcast first. I don't think of First Take, and I like First Take. So why is Stephen A. Smith getting all sensitive on this one? Why are his panties in a bunch over what Drake May just said? Like, it's the most innocuous thing ever. Ever. Yeah, I don't know where Cam's on. I don't know what he's saying, but I'm just focused on my guys in the building. Like, do me a favor, KP. Play me Drake May's response once again on WEI.
Oh, no, I don't even. I don't even know what show he's on. I think they get paid to make remarks and make certain comments. So, just worried about what people in our organization think and worried about what we think and my teammates think. And, everybody's going to have different opinions. So we should go out there on Sunday and worry about ourselves.
Oh, my God. I know people do things for ratings and you do things for entertainment purposes. What a contrived, just like, whole fight that this is. To a guy that is just a consummate professional and a good teammate in Drake May. Leave my quarterback alone. Leave him alone. Let's get to Cam. This is Cam. And remember, Drake May grew up idolizing Cam. And Cam knows this. This is Cam on Drake May's response on First Take.
I need him, as in Drake May, to understand this. Now, I did say the Patriots are fool's gold, and I'm going to stand on that. I was referring to the fact that it was a question that was asked. Does the AFC now go through the Patriots or New England? I said fool's gold. Why did I say fool's gold? Because there's not a soul in this beautiful gymnasium that will say they will take Drake May over a wild card winner in Patrick Mahomes, in Lamar Jackson. Drake May, respectfully, you're having a great season. But I also put Drake May in a position where it's like, yo, we don't really know, similar to Indiana Jones.
Okay. And then he did this thing at like the end where he's talking about like poking the bear. And it's like, if you keep on poking the bear, like he's going to roar or something like that. Is Drake May really poking the bear? What are we doing? Seriously, what are we doing? Cam there is unlistenable. He really is. And I like First Take. But if I was watching that live today and I heard Cam go off, I'd just be like, next. Like, I get it. He's a huge name. I get it. I get it. Cam is entertaining. But what are you doing here? You said something. They asked about it, and you and Stephen A are getting so annoyed because what? The quarterback didn't genuflect to First Take? And I like First Take. I'm a fan of First Take. But if Drake doesn't watch it, and someone asks him about something that was said that the Patriots are fools, like, what do you want him to say? You know what? Cam's right. I'm going to use that as motivation. We suck. We're getting exposed by Lamar and Mahomes. They're like, what are we doing here? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Stupid. Really is dumb. All right, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll see who else is bitching and complaining this week. Now, we'll do this QB or that QB. We'll go around a little NFL and college football. And let me just say something. This is low-hanging fruit. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Patriots do get to the Super Bowl, and there's a fumble. I guarantee you Drake May will jump on the fumble, and like Cam, who just sat there and watched. Sorry. Shouldn't have done that. My bad. Sorry, Cam. My bad.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll do this QB or that QB in just a second. We still got to get to a news brief. We'll get into all the Eagles stuff with Jalen Hurts. And then coming up later on in the show, we'll get into the most polarizing coaches in college football. And then Vernon Davis is going to join us, all coming your way right at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time, where the former NFL tight end will join us. But now we get to a little this QB or that QB. That is the question. Alrighty, KP goes with the NFL music to start. So, Stu, that means we go with the NFL, the National Football League. Remember, just a disclaimer, it's a quarterback matchup for this week. It doesn't mean for their careers. It doesn't mean for the rest of the season. Which QB would I rather have for this week and this week only? Stuart Kovacs, take it away.
All right, let's start with the matchup between a really young quarterback and a really old quarterback. We have Caleb Williams of the Bears or Aaron Rodgers of the Steelers.
And Aaron Rodgers doesn't need surgery, but he has a fracture, I guess is the way to say it, somewhere in his left wrist, which is his non-throwing hand. Aaron Rodgers is old as it is. I get it, Caleb Williams isn't great, but he's playing better. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going Caleb Williams for this week. And this week only, I like his mobility as well with what he's been able to do this year with Ben Johnson. But the fact that Rodgers is basically playing with one wrist, no bueno for me. Give me Caleb Williams.
All right, what about your guy, Caleb Williams, who has the Patriots off to a 9-2 start?
Drake May is my guy.
Drake May, your guy.
Yeah,
your
Caleb
guy.
Williams wouldn't be.
I'm sorry, Drake May, your guy. Not Caleb Williams. Drake May, your guy. Or Joe Burrow, assuming he plays. It looks like he is trending towards playing, so let's assume for this that Joe Burrow does play his first game since September.
And Joe Burrow's coming back several weeks before this toe injury was supposed to allow him to come back. That line in Cincinnati is no bueno. Jamar Chase is not going to be in this game. And Drake May, even though it's not always the cleanest thing in the world, the dude's just a playmaker. Obviously, Joe Burrow's accomplished a lot more in this league, but then he's going to have to knock off all this rust as well. Yeah, give me Drake May for this week and this week only, even if Joe Burrow does play.
All right, what about an NFC North matchup? We have J.J. McCarthy or Jordan Love of the Packers.
McCarthy came alive in that fourth quarter, but the first 3 quarters were ugly. I'm going with Jordan Love here. Not that I think Jordan Love is great, not that Jordan Love has been sensational, but I think he will manage the game better than J.J. McCarthy, so give me Jordan Love. I think J.J.'s just too erratic right now.
All right, the Colts are 8-2. The Chiefs are 5-5. Did not think I would be asking this at the start of the season, but for this week and this week only, Daniel Jones or Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I'm still going Patrick Mahomes. Daniel Jones, the last few weeks, he's been turning over the football. The Colts are an unbelievable story. Mahomes, he's not going to win the MVP because of the fact that his team is 5-5, and last week he did not play well, and the Broncos absolutely abused him. But he basically is that team on the offensive side of the ball. I am taking Patrick Mahomes, hot take, sizzling hot on this microphone over Daniel Jones.
All right, what about a matchup that everyone is looking forward to? You have Geno Smith, who has 12 touchdowns and 13 interceptions on the air, against Shedeur Sanders, making his first career NFL start.
Do the Shedeur Sanders. Let's go to Jacina Anderson on line 1. Jacina, what do you think? Oh, sorry, we had a bad connection there. I'm going Shedeur Sanders. And I get it. Geno Smith has done some nice stuff the last few years. He's been brutal this year with the Raiders. He's been a turnover machine. Sure, Shador hangs on to the football way too long. Don't get me wrong. He holds on to that football way too long. But at least there's some energy and some excitement tuning on in to watch Shador Sanders. There's nothing exciting about watching Geno Smith these days, so I'm going with Shador.
All right, what about Trevor Lawrence, who has the Jaguars at 6-4, or Jacoby Brissett, who in last week's game against the 49ers threw for 452 yards?
He threw for that many yards?
That many yards, yeah.
And they only had 20-something points?
47 of 57 for 452 with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks.
Jeez. I didn't even realize that. And I was watching that game. I didn't realize that he had 452 yards. That offense does play better with Brissett than Kyler Murray. But the Cardinals still don't win many games. I don't really love Trevor Lawrence, and I think Trevor Lawrence has just been so disappointing in the NFL. But Trevor Lawrence has to be better than Jacoby Brissett. So give me, begrudgingly, Trevor Lawrence.
All right, let's go to the NFC East, where we have the 8-2 Eagles against the 4-5-1 Cowboys. Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott for this week?
Well, here's what I know. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, they may not show up for the meetings on time or whatever happened there, but they don't hate their quarterback. A.J. Brown hates his quarterback right now. And there's this report out there from Derek Gunn, and I watched the whole segment, him and Seth Joyner, my buddy Mark Farzetta, Farzy. But with that being said, there's this report out there that the Eagles coaches and also the players are growing frustrated with Jalen Hurts because they watch tape, and when they see him, there's a lot of times he's holding on to the football and he's just tapping the football when he should be throwing the ball down the field, and there are throws that he shouldn't be able to make that he's not making. I don't know if the Eagles are going to lose this game, but Dak Prescott's playing better football right now than Jalen Hurts. So for this week and this week only, I'm taking Dak Prescott.
All right, and the last one in the NFL
also,
side.
Something to watch in this game. I was there for week 1, and I know we just had another Spitgate with Jalen Ramsey and Jamar Chase and the despicable act of one Jamar Chase. That's how the NFL season started, with a little Dak Tua. Dak Tua. That's how the season started, where Jalen Carter spat on Dak Prescott. So is there any little kerfuffles that we'll be looking for in this one on Sunday between Dak Tua and Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Carter? Just something to watch. You know, maybe A.J. Brown's going to be spinning on Jalen Hurts in this one. Yeah, but give me Dak for this week.
All right, last one here. We have Baker Mayfield, who has had a really nice year for the Buccaneers. They are 6-4. Or Matthew Stafford for the 8-2 Rams. Stafford, of course, near the top of the MVP odds.
This one's so tough because I love me some Baker Mayfield, but Matthew Stafford right now is playing like he's the MVP of the league. He's leading the league in passing touchdowns. So I hate to bet against Mr. Baker Mayfield, but I'm going Matthew Stafford on this one. Alrighty, and we will get to some college football and the footy football.
All right, so let's...
It's getting tougher in college, by the way, to find these matchups.
It is. It definitely is. So the first one we'll start with, we have 22 ranked Missouri against number 8 Oklahoma. John Mateer for the Oklahoma Sooners going up against not Bo Prabula, who is doubtful for the game, but the freshman Matt Zollers, who has 4 touchdowns to 1 interception on the season.
Yeah, and like Stu so astutely pointed out, there's a chance Bo Prabula plays, like a small chance. Yeah, I think there was some optimism today, but then I saw that he was listed as doubtful. Mateer, I'm going to rock and roll with him over even if it's Zollers or Bo Prabula. Even if it's Prabula, you wonder with the rust and just how experienced Mateer is. You think that he's going to be the better quarterback in this one, regardless of who's on the field, coming up on Saturday, or as they say in Philadelphia, Saturday.
All right, Miami versus Virginia Tech. We have Kyron Jones for Virginia Tech, who has 16 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, against, of course, Carson Beck, who has 18 touchdowns to 9 picks.
Yeah, and a bunch of rushing touchdowns, too, for Kyron Jones. He is a dual-threat quarterback. I thought he would pop off more when Brent Pry was there. Last year really just didn't have a good season. Has to overcome a lot. I'm going to go with Carson Beck. I don't... Like, there's so much inconsistency with Carson Beck. When he's off, he's off. But when he's on, he's on. I'm going to roll the dice here and just hope that he's going to be on going up against Vad Tech. So give me Carson Beck.
All right, and maybe the game of the week might
have... Vad Tech Beck.
Tech
rhyming right there.
I like it.
Yeah, I didn't even intentionally try to do that, but that's like 6 or 7 bars for you right there.
All right, and maybe what is the best matchup of the week overall?
I'm such a child, by the way. I'm one big fat child.
This might be the best quarterback matchup. You have USC's Jaden Mayava against Oregon's Dante Moore.
Mayava, like, there's some games they win in spite of him. Like, I think the Nebraska game was one of those. With Lincoln Riley, he could be such a special player. I think this is a Dante Moore prove-it spot. For the Indiana game, right, they lost that. Oregon, if they lose this game, I think they're going to be out of the college football playoff. This is, I think, a get-right spot for Dante Moore, where USC is a good program, not taking anything away from them. You got to win this game. I'm going to trust the guy that just has more on the line individually, so give me Dante Moore.
All right, we have Kentucky's going against Vanderbilt this weekend, and we have Cutter Boley for Kentucky, 16 touchdowns to 8 interceptions against Diego Pavia, who is in the top 5 of the Heisman race.
Yeah, it's the interceptions for me with the freshman. There's just too many with him having 8 interceptions on the season. And I'm going to go take Diego Pavia. He's more of the gamer in this one, so give me Diego Pavia.
All right, how about Jake Retzlaff for Tulane? They're 8-2, 24th in the country against your guy, your team, Temple, the Temple Owls, and Evan Simon.
T for Temple, you, baby. University. Fight, fight, fight for the cherry and the white. Evan Simon, I think he finally threw an interception or two. Yeah, he has 1 interception on the season. Got 22 touchdowns. Let me tell you about that Evan Simon, man. He got 22 touchdowns to 1 pick on the season. The 1 pick came to ECU, and they just got smacked in that football game. The Owls got to win one of these final 2 games to get to a bowl game. They already cleared their over-under for the season. They weren't expected to be good. Casey Keeler's done a nice job. Now, Jake Retzlaff has gone in to Tulane, and he transferred there in, like, July, right, with everything that happened in the aftermath of BYU. And he's been leading their team in rushing yards. He's been playing well at the quarterback position. But Evan Simon, man, this is one of the more underappreciated players in the country when you got 22 touchdowns and 1 interception. Temple just does not turn over the football a lot. Wouldn't shock me, obviously, if Tulane's going to win the game. They should win, but in the quarterback matchup, no offense to the guy that we used to call BY Jew. No offense to the guy that transferred into Jew Lane. I can say that as a Jewish man. And I like Jake Retzlaff, right, as the quarterback. But Evan Simon, you're our guy right now. We're not going against the Temple Owls. You know, we played nice with the enemy yesterday and John Summerall when he came on the show. But Casey Keeler, let's shock the world. Let's beat the Tulane Green Wave, and let's get that 6th win of the season. And it still pains me a few weeks ago. It should have been Army. But a few weeks ago, they had Navy beat. And they blew it. We got to win 1 more game. We got 2 chances left, 1 more game. Let's go, Temple. Get us back to a bowl game. Give me Evan Simon. You know, so I'm disgusted by you. That you would even ask me that question. You think I'm going to pick against my quarterback, my team, my alma mater? I'm on the 30 under 30 list, even though I'm 31. Come on. What are we doing here? Going Owls, baby. Let's go Owls.
All right, let's go to the ACC. This could have major playoff implications.
Honestly, with the state of our network these days, we may be getting Casey Keeler on. Could be a good suck-up spot there for Zach Gelb if they win this game. All righty, go ahead.
We have Mason Heinzel, the Pittsburgh freshman who struggled a bit against Notre Dame last week, against Georgia Tech, who has Haynes King, his 24 total touchdowns when you include the rushing touchdowns, to just 2 interceptions on the year.
Georgia Tech keeps on playing with fire. They keep on playing with fire, but they're dangerous. Yeah, Mason up against Notre Dame had that pick 6. I'm going to go with Haynes King.
All right, let's go to the SEC. We have number 20, Tennessee against Florida. We have, of course, Joey Aguilar for Tennessee against, it looks like DJ Lagway. I know they benched him a few weeks ago, but it does look like DJ Lagway will start at home for Florida, who is 3-7.
Don't care who Florida plays at quarterback. It could be Stu. It could be Chris Persianen. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going with Joey Aguilar in this matchup. I can't trust Florida.
All right, and last one here, we have BYU, 9-1 on the year, number 11 in the country. They have Bear Bachmeier, who faces Brendan Sorsby of Cincinnati, who has had a really nice year, over 2,000 yards, 22 touchdowns to 4 picks.
So I've watched BYU quite a bit. Bachmeier's been solid for them. He's got to have, and I don't know if there's any meaning behind it, so if it is, I apologize in advance if there's like some deeper meaning to it. What quarterback wears 47? It's a quarterback wearing 47. Like, what are we doing? When I was watching that BYU Texas Tech game, I'm sitting there watching Bachmeier, and he was stinking up the joint. And it's one thing to stink up the joint, but then you're stinking up the joint with the number 47? I'm sitting there, I'm like watching him. I go, is this a fullback? Yeah.
I found out why. According to Google, it is because he started playing football at the age of 5 as a running back and a middle linebacker before he kind of transitioned to being a quarterback.
Yeah, I know that he eventually moved on to be, but still, 47. Like, you become a quarterback, you got to wear a quarterback number. 47? Honestly, I don't think it's allowed, Chris Persianen. But if I was a quarterback, you know what number I would wear? Do you know?
9?
No, 9 is my favorite number, but I'd probably go 6, 7. Just saying. KP's like, oh man, what was this animal that I started with Zach Gelb? Yeah, I'm going with Brendan Sorsby in this one. That Texas Tech game just was stinky for Bear Bachmeyer. So give me Brendan Sorsby. All righty, that's a little this QB or that QB. That is a question. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break. We'll be coming on back. We'll update some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We do have some news in the NFL. There has been an injury report addition. So Daniel Jones of the Colts, as they get set to play the Chiefs, he has been added to their injury report today with a calf injury. So Daniel Jones, the official designation is a calf injury. He's a limited participant in practice. Remember, Anthony Richardson's been dealing with an injury, so he's not eligible to go. If Daniel Jones can't, it would be Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard, the former Notre Dame quarterback who is QB2 with Anthony Richardson on IR. So that's the latest with Daniel Jones. Clearly, you hear calf injury, what's the first thing you think of? Could it eventually be an Achilles injury? And I hate to go there. I hate to even speculate it. I hate to even broadcast that energy out there. But we've seen this a lot in the NBA. And we've talked about this a lot, where a calf injury gets talked about, and then it turns into an Achilles injury. Now, with that being said, I don't know how serious this is. I don't know the severity of it. I did see Stephen Holder, who covers the Colts for the ESPN. He kind of made this seem as if it's not anything that there's real reason for concern. He said, as of right now, I'm not sensing any reason for alarm on Daniel Jones. There's obviously a lot of scrutiny of injury reports right now, so teams got to be fully transparent. Let's see what happens tomorrow. So Daniel Jones limited with a calf injury. We'll wait and see what it means. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Delta 9 Brian is on the line. He is next up on the Zach Gelb Show. Brian, what's happening?
Hey, Zach. How you doing?
Doing great. What do you got for me?
So I had a couple questions, if you don't mind. One NFL, one college, and you were just talking about injury stuff. And so I heard today that Michael Penix Jr. is going to be out 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a Falcons fan, but it does affect my NFC South. But I was just curious what you think his career ceiling is at this point, being injured already and his injury history in college, and if he's just going to be like another Teddy Bridgewater or something like that, or what another comp might be. And another question, you can answer this later. I'm going to Blacksburg Saturday for the Virginia Tech game.
Mm-hmm.
And besides Carson Beck, who else should I be looking for that might be an NFL prospect? And if Tech wins, should I rush the field?
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever rushed the field?
No, and this is the first D1 game I've gone to since college. And I went to a D2 school, so that doesn't really matter.
Now here's what I'm going to say to you. If you do rush the field, when you have to jump on the field, do that very slowly, but also assess the situation. Because the Bayou Bear, you know the Bayou Bear, he told me once that he was rushing the field, and when he went to go jump onto the field, it was a far jump where I think he actually broke his ankle. So I was maybe, let's just say, a little liquored up a few years ago when I was at Michigan, Ohio State. And if Michigan beats Ohio State at Michigan, right, they go on the field either way. And I was 10 rows off the field, so I was in prime position to do this. Now, a buddy of mine was recording a video of me. And he was recording a video of me rushing the field. And I had, in my intoxicated state, right, just the Bayou Bear basically saying to me, Zach, go very slowly down, the jump onto the field. It wasn't that high of a jump. So I think you assess when you walk into the stadium, Delta 9, Brian, assess how far the jump would be. But if there is an opportunity where Virginia Tech does beat Georgia, and let's just say it's one of those situations where it's not Miami, excuse me. If it's safe to do so, where you could jump onto the field, just make sure that you're allowed to. Make sure you're not getting arrested or anything. Then you go jump up on the field and have a good time. So appreciate the phone call as always. Now to Michael Penix Jr. So you look back at his injury history, and he's someone that at Indiana, I think he had 2 ACL injuries, and then there were shoulder injuries too. I think it was 2 other shoulder injuries. And he's an older guy now. Like, I get it, he's 25, but he's going to turn 26 this offseason as a quarterback. So I look at him, and I see the career of just how many times he's been injured going back to college. Like, I don't want to say people forget, but a lot of people didn't know who Michael Penix Jr. was at Indiana. I think for most people, when you say Michael Penix Jr. at Indiana, what do you think of? That play up against Penn State where people thought he was short, but they somehow ruled that he was in the end zone and he didn't step out of bounds. That's what people think of. And then he goes to Washington, and he was with Kalen DeBoer at Indiana. Kalen DeBoer is then at Washington. He goes to Washington, and at Washington, he goes on to be, for 2 years, one of the better quarterbacks in the country now. He was one of the better quarterbacks in the country, and he almost won the Heisman Trophy. And I think he won the Maxwell Award, actually, if memory serves me right. So the fact that he ended up going in the first round and in the top 10, I wasn't surprised he went in the first round. I would have never thought he was going in the top 10. But he did a heck of a job in college, and unfortunately those injuries popped up. And you just don't hope, and you hope that they just don't affect him for the rest of his career. But this guy's about to be, 26, I just said? And I think there's flaws with this game to begin with. It's almost like you have a nice car, and that car is just beat up. Like, you know that car only got so many miles left. You know that if you get on the highway, sure, you get a little vroom vroom to it, and that car could be going. But you know those tires aren't lasting that much longer. You know that check engine light's about to come on. And, maybe it's already come on in the past, and you ignore it, and you turn on the car, and it doesn't go on, and then a few weeks later it goes back on. Like, I just truly don't know how much gas is left in the tank for Michael Penix Jr. We're talking about a 3rd ACL injury, a 3rd knee injury. It's just a lot to overcome. And I know we look at these athletes as warriors and superstars and heroes, but still at the end of the day, they're just human. They are. And I think there are some flaws in Michael Penix Jr.'s game even before the injuries. Like, you look at him, I say this all the time. You look at him down the sideline when he's throwing the football, medium-sized throw, shorter throw, that's where he gets picked off. And, I know he had a nice night up against the Bills, but they haven't won a game since. I know he's missed the game because of injury. And now, obviously, what transpired over the weekend. But for Delta 9 Brian, it's funny. He goes, looking forward to seeing Carson Beck play. And my mind goes to Georgia there for a second, even though now he's at Miami. Ruben Bain Jr. is obviously the guy you gotta watch of Miami. Like, I'm looking at a mock draft right now. He is actually predicted to be the first pick of the draft. Now, with that being said, if Tennessee gets the first overall pick, I got to think that they're trading out of that spot. And you see who wants to go move up and assure themselves a quarterback. Like, if the draft were tomorrow, this is via our friends at Tankathon. The Titans would have the first overall pick. The Giants would have the second pick. Neither of those teams are taking quarterbacks. You got Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. So then after that, the Browns are at 3. So the Browns, could they move up to 2 or 1? I guess it's possible if they feel like someone else is going to jump. But then you start to look at teams like the Saints who are 4, the Jets who are 5, the Raiders who are 6. Right, just some of those teams that are going to go need a quarterback. And here's the other thing. You know who would be in the top 10 of the draft right now and who could benefit from the Falcons? Just disastrous season. And if it continues, the Rams are in the top 10 right now. Because they made that trade with the Rams for James Pierce Jr. I believe it was for James Pierce Jr. in this past draft. So the Rams right now would have the 8th overall pick in the draft. So if the draft were to be tomorrow, The first 10 picks would be Tennessee, the Giants, the Browns, New Orleans, the Jets, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Rams via the Falcons, the Bengals, and then the Cardinals. And Miami also has a big lineman, too, that's supposed to go early on, big offensive lineman. So there's a ton of talent there for the Miami football team. But, yeah, imagine we see Delta 9 Brian storming the field. Oh, first off, Virginia Tech's got to beat Miami. But could you imagine if that happens and he's storming the field out there? Oh, that would be a sight. Maybe we should send Delta 9 Brian. We don't have the budget to do this, but maybe we can make it up. And it's already Thursday, so the odds of this happening aren't. Imagine we give him a Zach Gelb Show shirt just in case.
Oh, that'd be great. Seeing that.
Just in case if Virginia Tech beats Miami. And I love Delta 9 Brian. I don't know how athletic he is. And clearly with this nickname, Delta 9 Brian likes to enjoy himself a little bit. So can't you see Delta 9 Brian, right, Stu, wearing a Zach Gelb Show shirt, storming the field, and then he just falls and eats you-know-what on the turf? And that gets us a little viral moment right there. I think that'd be good.
That'd be great. I mean, that would be amazing. And that would also be just a great upset for really shake up the playoffs. Because then Miami would definitely be out, and it'd pretty much be down to, I guess, Georgia Tech and, maybe Pitt's in the mix there.
Virginia, too.
Virginia, yeah.
Which Virginia early in the year had the best field storming we've seen. When they beat Florida State, I've never seen that ball, right? The moment the game is over, it's actually picked off, I'm pretty sure. The players didn't even hit the ground yet, and the fans are already on the field. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. But yeah, Delta 9 Brian storming the field would be awesome. It would be absolutely awesome. You know why I like Brian so much? This past summer, comes up to me. We're doing the Bob's Bar show. And he goes, I've been waiting to try blue cheese my entire life. And he dunked those wings right in front of me in blue cheese. Oh, almost made me cry.
That's a great moment for you, I know, because
I think it may be the best moment of my career. Forget all the headlines we've made. Forget all the days where, Skip and Shannon were talking about us, or Freddie Kitchens had to address our show in a press conference, or, Stephen A. would be talking about us on First Take, or Mike Greenberg on Get Up, or, Debo hangs up the phone on me, or Urban Meyer, gets all upset because I was right. Forget all those. Delta 9 Brian coming up to me with wings and blue cheese. And for the first time in his life, trying blue cheese. Almost made me cry. Percy Einen, what's going on with the Lakers here? I'm seeing all this stuff on the internet with Jeannie Buss. Fill us in here, Mr. Basketball Insider of the Zach Gelb Show, Chris Percy Einen.
So, Zach, earlier you were talking about Lane Kiffin, and you referred to The Real Housewives of New Jersey. You referred to some different reality TV shows, Love Island, right? Well,
yeah. Jersey Shore is also a good one, too. A classic.
It's not reality TV, but you ever seen Succession?
I've watched one episode and I was bored, and then I didn't watch
come
it again.
on, man!
Yeah, everyone tells me that.
Give it another spin. Give it another spin.
Maybe in the off season, once we get out of football season.
Well, here's the sell. Because if this seems entertaining, what's going on with the Los Angeles Lakers right now, I think we might have a little reality imitates art situation. Jeannie Buss. And if you saw Winning Time on HBO, it's a great show. I loved it. I think it's sad it got canceled early. It shows how Jeannie was not expected by Dr. Jerry Buss at all to be part of the X's and O's, the basketball operations. He gave her little
brothers. Yeah,
he gave her pet projects. He gave the brothers, Joey and Jesse, the power. Today, Jeannie Buss fired Joey and Jesse from the Los Angeles Lakers organization. And I can tell you this, they blew 2 straight first-round picks when new ownership was coming in and taking a real look at what was going on. That's a problem. But the statement they put out, and this is where I bring Succession into the foray, is the statement they put out is dramatic. And it's very much like a public cry for sympathy, I think.
Yeah, usually people don't have sympathy for people in those roles when we're talking about billionaires. So the Lakers, they just got sold, right? It was like $10 billion, I think it was. And Mark Walter, that group, is taking it over. But they're
Todd Bailey, and Mark Walter.
But they're letting Jeannie Buss still run the team, right? For I think it's 4 or 5 years. It was the way that we were kind of told what was going to happen with Cuban. And then clearly that didn't happen. I don't know how that kind of separated from what we were sold on. And maybe even a little bit what's going on with the Celtics, right? Still, even with the sale, Wick Grossbeck is still running the show there. So Jeannie Buss is still running the team, And her two brothers' roles are just like what inside the organization?
They had front office roles.
Gotcha.
So these guys are commensurate with, you think back to the movie Draft Day, which is terrible, but
I like Draft Day. I think that's a terrible opinion about you. But
it's one of the worst things ever made. I love it.
Because you're a pancake-eating mother bleeper.
I watch it every year. It's awful. I hate watching it. That said, they're in the war room, right? They're in the rooms. They're the rooms where it happens. They are not saying, hey, I want to go trade for this center, and they say, okay, let's get Charlotte on the phone. But it is very much, they have a voice in the room where things go down. I would be very surprised if they were not very advancedly involved in the Luka Doncic trade discussions, for example.
So why did they get fired today? Like, do we know?
All we can go based off of is what they've done with their opportunities.
Which is what?
Blowing first-round picks on players that don't...
like Dalton Connect?
Yeah, so Dalton Connect was supposed to come in and be this guy who, really helps not turn them around forever, but...
they haven't had a marquee draft pick in a while. Like, once you get to the first 5 or 10 picks in the NBA, like, who gives a rat's ass?
They had the trade snafu, if you remember, after the Luka Doncic trade last year. There was the Mark Williams trade, which then was untraded, and then... So... It's just the Lakers don't dominate the margins the way that a lot of other NBA teams do.
So Jeannie Buss fired her two brothers today is what you're telling me.
She straight up removed them from decision-making authority. That is the easiest way to put it is she said, I know Dad had this planned for you guys to take over, but he didn't have planned that I'd become an empress. And I'm about to make a tough decision, which is what empresses do, is they make tough decisions.
Yeah.
You guys stink. I love you. You got to go.
So are they still minority owners? The brothers?
I believe so.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure. I don't want to speak factually on that because I don't have legal documents in front of me, nor based on Shams Charania's reporting. I cut it for you if you wanted. But, they are going to be involved. It's the Buss family, but they have no say anymore. Huh. They are stockholders.
You know what? I'd be okay. Even if my sister fired me, if I had all those Benjamins in my pocket, I'd be okay. I'd be annoyed. Maybe I won't do Thanksgiving with you. But I think I would be okay if I have all those Benjamins lining up in the pocket. All righty, let's hear Shams Charania. This was on ESPN a few moments ago.
They are making some serious front office restructurings and changes. Sources tell me that the Lakers have fired, effective immediately, 2 minority owners as well as leading basketball executives in Joey and Jesse Buss. Most of the front office scouting department has been fired today. And you think about just going back to when Mark Walter took over, possibly these changes were on the horizon eventually. Jeannie Buss has stayed on as the governor, but Joey and Jesse Buss, interestingly, were the 2 siblings that voted against the sale of the $10 billion sale of the Los Angeles Lakers to Mark Walter. And they have been responsible. They've been at the key center of the Lakers scouting department. Think about players like Austin Reeves, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, Julius Randle, on and on and on. And I just spoke to Jesse Buss today, and he told me it was Dr. Buss's idea for Joey and I to run basketball operations one day. But Jeannie has effectively kept herself in place with her siblings fired.
All righty, good family drama right there. We'll take a time out. When we come on back, we got more drama. We now know the reason, or at least the side from one CeeDee Lamb, on why CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens were not allowed to be on the field for the first drive of the game and why they were benched by their coach and Brian Schottenheimer. I'll give you those reasons. We'll do a news brief as well when we come on back in 5 minutes. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive is proud to support veterans and small businesses with its annual Keys to Progress vehicle giveaway program, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keystoprogress.com. Joe Burrow appears to be back practicing yesterday and today, making it seem favorable. He'll start Sunday. The Giants' Jackson Dart has yet to be cleared from concussion protocol, but is moving closer after practicing back-to-back days, even if he was limited today. The Colts' Daniel Jones was limited due to a calf injury. The Texans host the Bills to open Week 12 of the season. Houston will have Davis Mills leading them for a third straight game as C.J. Stroud remains out with a concussion. The Texans can lean on a defense that is the best in the NFL. However, the Bills feature Josh Allen and also have the top running game, and Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans focusing on stopping James Cook.
James does a really good job, I think, of really when they're running the outside zone, he presses his blocks really well. So when he cuts it back with speed, just has a really good feel for the zone scheme that they run. And he has a really good feel for just finding that open area.
Texans running back Joe Mixon is yet to play this year and won't because of his injured foot, according to ESPN. I'm Rich Acker.
This is Maggie Gray for the Maggie and Perloff Show. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage, no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Okay, I believe we have our answer on why Brian Schottenheimer elected to bench George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys' first drive of the game up against Stu's Raiders. And the reasoning for that is, according to Calvin Watkins, who covers the team, CeeDee Lamb said he and George Pickens missed curfew before the game at Las Vegas. The two were having dinner and a few drinks at Red Rock Casino. Lamb denied he was throwing up at the casino. He said it's disrespectful to even suggest that. Lamb said he knows how to hold his liquor. That's amazing. Sounds like me in college. I don't hold my liquor. I didn't throw up. There's throw up in front of me, but I don't hold my liquor. I'm a man. I can out-drink you. What a quote. I must have missed that. Now, I knew that he was benched for the game. I just didn't know what the reason was. If you're out in Vegas, you're playing the Raiders. Yes, dude, that's the other problem. You're playing the Raiders. You know, I don't think this is them channeling their inner Michael Irvin, if I'm just being honest. This is them saying, hey, we play the Raiders. We could be a little bit banged up the night before the game, and we'll be okay to go beat the Raiders.
My CTE acting up.
What was that?
That was Michael Irvin.
That was a miss on the drops, if I'm just being honest. That was just trying a little bit too much, if I'm being honest. It's all right. Michael Jordan didn't make every shot that he did take. I'm not saying you're Michael Jordan, but
high school.
But anyway, Stu.
Yeah, this is the state of the Raiders.
Like,
honestly.
if you're a Raider fan, I gotta be like, you almost want CeeDee. Well, do you even want CeeDee Lamb throwing up? This is bad that these guys just think they're going out there before the game, get all banged up, but potentially get accused of throwing up, even though CeeDee Lamb did deny it, because of lack of the respect for the Raiders. Shows you where the Raiders are.
Yeah, and then if you listen to that game on Monday night, it felt like it was 70% Cowboys fans, at least. It does seem like Vegas has become this touristy place. We know it's a touristy place, but when the Raiders play a team, that team's fans seem to travel pretty well, and they kind of have the home field advantage away from home, a lot of these teams.
It's kind of crazy. What a sentence that is. He could hold his liquor. He wasn't throwing up. Yeah. Where have I heard that one before? Oh, yeah. George Pickens, by the way, maybe banged up before the game. 9 receptions, $144, and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 5 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown, as the Cowboys, they stomped all over the Raiders, 33-16. All righty, let's update some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All righty, let's talk about Sark was on the SEC teleconference, Steve Sarkisian. There's all these reports that maybe he's going to be leaving Texas. You had Desmond Howard just speculating out of his ass the other day. Here is Stark pulling a little Jordan Belfort. I'm not even leaving. I'm not leaving. Here is Steve Sarkisian.
Before I get into our team, something that has been bothering me now over the past few weeks, and that is people reporting that or insinuating that there's a possibility I could leave the University of Texas, and that is absolutely false and untrue. I'm not going anywhere. I've had no discussions, not with my agent, not with the university, not with any other school, not with any NFL team, about ever going anywhere else. I came here to win championships. I've got 2 kids enrolled at the University of Texas, one in law school, one on our team. I've got a third that hopefully decides to enroll at the University of Texas next fall, and my wife and I just had our son here in Austin. This is our home.
I'm not saying there's not a day that he can't leave. If he is going to leave, you would think he would stay at Texas and it would only be for an NFL job. And I know there's been a lot of smoke here. Diana Rossini started it. Desmond Howard continued it. I have a tough time thinking that Steve Sarkisian next year isn't back as the head coach of Texas. I'd be really surprised by it. For a second straight day today, according to Adam Schefter, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow has been taking snaps with Cincinnati starting offense, preparing him for the possibility that he could actually play Sunday versus the Patriots. Let's hear from Bengals head coach Zach Taylor when he was asked if Joe Burrow could start on Sunday.
Like I said the other day, until we get through some practices, there's no reason for me to even speculate on that.
And then let's get to another quarterback with an injury, Aaron Rodgers. He's dealing with a fracture in his left wrist. It does not need surgery. This is Aaron Rodgers on his recovery and status for this upcoming weekend with the Steelers.
A lot of rehab. Was thankful to get today to work with Gabe and just focus on rehab for a day. I'm trying to get back on the field tomorrow and see what I can do.
Would it be a pain tolerance thing for you? If you do play on Sunday, is that something you'd have to?
No, it'd be a safety thing.
Did it aggravate anything, or was this like a whole new injury?
Brand new.
What has to happen before you can play on Sunday?
Got to get the okay and got to feel like I can protect myself.
All righty, let's go to J.J. McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings. He says that he has to relearn his QB mechanics.
Coming in here, I was taught how to play quarterback in a very different way, and that's, expected going into the league, going into any new team, any new system. But at the end of the day, it was really just the injuries that I felt like, kind of took away all those reps and the constant repetition to make those a habit and make them concrete like KO talks about. But I feel like, it's just the repetitions. How many times could I go home and every time I take the dogs out, I'm getting, 10 drops each time. Little things like that where you just keep building the reps.
Guy's walking his dogs, and is he doing that like in his driver, or do you mean like he puts the dogs like back in the house and then he goes and takes care of those reps? I don't know how he meant that one, but there's a lot of pressure on JJ the rest of the season. He's got to show that he can hang. He's got to show that he could belong, because that's an organization and a team that there's definitely some frustration right now. And JJ by the end of the year has to give him some optimism that this thing's going to get figured on out. Let's go back to the SEC teleconference. Lane Kiffin was asked when he will decide where he's coaching next year. Here is Lane Kiffin, head coach for now at Ole Miss.
I mean, like I said, I'm saying the same thing for 6 years. I'm not talking about speaking on other jobs. I'm focused on this one. And, I guess that's kind of spiraling off the question before, like, are you coaching in the game? Like, I don't even understand what I don't even understand what the question is. Like, of course I'm coaching. I mean, unless you guys know something I don't, or I'm getting fired and I don't know it.
Is there a possibility you could take another job before the postseason?
I'm not speaking on other jobs.
And then let's hear Joel Klatt. He was on with Colin Cowherd on The Herd, and he lays out this scenario on Lane Kiffin's future.
I think he's going to Florida. I really do. I think he's going to Florida, and I think he's going to be the next coach of the Gators, and I think that we're going to have one of the biggest messes in college football history go down before the playoff when Lane Kiffin steps away from a college football playoff team and goes to coach another team.
And that would be a disgrace. You want to go leave a program, and he has every right to leave when it's an irrelevant bowl game, okay. But if we're talking about the college football playoff, this system just sucks. This system just blows. If you have a coach that has a team in the playoff and then he's going to go leave them and go to Florida or go to LSU before they even play in the playoff, just a rotten system. And I love college football, but the fact that that's even a possibility is just a joke. And one last one real quickly. Sean McDermott on the difficulty of Thursday night games.
It's hard on the players. It definitely is. And getting their fresh legs back underneath of them and everything and coming off of a game. So there's certainly challenges on the front end, and there's certainly some kind of rest on the back end for the guys, which is important.
Bills-Texans obviously does kick off Week 12 tonight of the football season. The Buffalo Bills are a 5.5-point favorite. Vernon Davis going to join us coming up 25 minutes from now, but we come on back. Let's get back into the Lane Train conversation. Who's the most polarizing coach in college football right now? Also, what's going on with them Eagles? Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts versus the entire locker room. We get into all that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I don't know where Jordan Renan was on, but he did have this quote. Keep an eye on the outside possibility of college coaches such as Notre Dame's Marcus Freeman and Iowa State's Matt Campbell, who is someone multiple sources said that the Giants have done background work on in recent years, entering the mix, and close quotes. That is from Jordan Renan, who covers the New York Football Giants, the G-Men, for the ESPN. Let's go to our resident Notre Dame insider, the great Stuart Kovacs. Your thoughts, your concern level. I know that, didn't you kind of dabble in these waters last year with Marcus Freeman and potentially the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, it was the Bears, right, before they hired Ben Johnson.
I think we had Xavier Woods on, and I had to ask him about that, or someone from Notre Dame. But there's been NFL rumors before with Freeman. There's also been rumors before with Matt Campbell. Remember when Dan Campbell got the job with the Lions? He made the joke, many people thought I was probably Matt Campbell, and they just spelled my name wrong when I ended up getting the gig with the Detroit Lions. So any concern that Marcus Freeman leaves Notre Dame, whenever their playoff run comes to an end? Because I don't think that's a Lane Kiffin scenario. I think you'd wait till the playoff run ends if he's going to the NFL and jumps into the NFL world. Is there any fear on that front?
Yeah, I think there is, and I'm not really worried about him going to another college job. I'm not worried about him going to an LSU, a Florida, Penn State this year. But when it comes to the NFL, and the Giants have a quarterback, we think is a franchise quarterback at least. They drafted Jackson Dart last year. It's a big market. I just think
got neighbors.
Yeah, I think eventually his goal is the NFL. I just don't know if his goal is the NFL this coming year. Maybe he wants to do more Notre Dame. Maybe he wants to get to another national title. Maybe win a national title. But I do think eventually he will be in the NFL. So whenever I see him linked to these jobs, it does concern me for sure.
So I remember when it happened with Matt Rule. There was a lot of rumors about him going to the NFL. Actually, his first year at Baylor, they had like 1 or 2 wins. He did interview for the Indianapolis Colts job. And the Colts actually wanted to hire him, but Jim Irsay just couldn't justify hiring a college coach that only had 1 or 2 wins in his first season as Baylor. At Baylor, even with how disastrous that situation was. Then the second year, there was a lot of talks about the Jets, and ultimately why I think he didn't take the Jet job is because of alignment. And I think the Jets were trying to force some hires upon him. And then obviously the Giants really wanted him. And then David Tepper didn't even let him get out of his house in Waco, Texas with I think it was a 7 or 8 year contract that Tepper offered him. It's like we've seen coaches get rumored before and maybe wait a little bit before taking the job in the NFL. And then sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. I I know that there was some speculation with Chip Kelly maybe going to the NFL, but I think a lot of us were surprised when the Eagles hired Chip Kelly to replace Andy Reid. With that being said, I think that Marcus Freeman only leaves Notre Dame for 2 jobs. It's Ohio State if that somehow becomes open. And who knows, maybe Ryan Day, who was on Chip Kelly's staff with the Eagles and then also the 49ers, so he's got some NFL experience. Maybe Ryan Day, if he wins another national championship or if he just doesn't like how this season ends, goes, okay, I'm going to, like, let's say Ohio State this year, they beat Michigan, and he gets that monkey off his back. He just won a national championship. Is it a possibility that Ryan Day at the end of the year, if let's say they lose in the first or second round, goes, you know what, I've had enough here at Ohio State, I'm going to go to the NFL? Because it's been reported by people that cover the Ohio State football team, when they lost to Michigan, the days were like thinking about leaving. They were kind of orchestrating their exit because of just how nasty it got after Michigan. Once again, the boogeyman scared Ryan Day with the Ohio State Buckeyes. And then they won a national championship. So all that kind of goes away. So could I see Marcus Freeman being a potential NFL head coach? Yes. Matt Campbell, I just can't. And I know that's been talked about, and I know that I've said this numerous times on this show, and maybe I'm being unfair. I'll fully admit it. But I'm weird with some of these coaches. I hear one thing, and I just can't move on it, even though Matt Campbell's a really good coach. Like a really good. What he's done at Iowa State has been unbelievable. But Matt Campbell, you've waited all these years. You haven't taken a bigger college job, and you're going to potentially leave to go to the NFL, and you're going to throw Matt Campbell in front of the New York media? He's going to go from Iowa to the New York media, where this is a coach when he was in front of the media with the Cyclones, and when they didn't have a year ago there, where a few years ago he tried to pretend like the standard wasn't to win the Big 12 championship. I don't know. That seems a little fishy to me, that Matt Campbell's going to end up being the hire. I'll tell you, you know who I think actually, outside of Freeman, because I could see it with Freeman, Lane Kiffin, if he wanted to coach again in the NFL, I could see it. And I know he's denied the possibility of him coaching the Giants, so it's too cold or whatever line he gave to Jackson Dart's father. But if Lane's not willing, and I know there's been stuff on Florida, there's been stuff in LSU, maybe even him going back to Ole Miss. If Lane is not willing to go pair himself back up in New York, which, right, he would be a rock star here. Like Matt Campbell, I'm afraid if he can handle the New York media. Marcus Freeman, I'm not. Lane Kiffin, oh, the media would love him. He'd be a media darling here with the way that he navigates the media. But if Lane Kiffin is already denied wanting to be the head coach of the Giants and getting teamed back up with this college quarterback in Jackson Dart, I don't think that we're going to really consider Lane for this cycle with NFL hires. But Freeman I could see. Campbell I can't. And you know what? The other two guys that could be possibilities, and I think Sark is staying at Texas, let me be abundantly clear. But if Sark wanted to go back to the NFL, I think it's plausible. And I wonder if NFL teams, I know years ago, the Cowboys were interested in him. I wonder if Lincoln Riley, if he said, okay, I'm good with the college stuff, I want to go to the NFL, if that would be a possibility. But I don't know if I could see any other coach in college football right now potentially making the jump to the NFL. Like, oh, sure, people are going to say Belichick, but I don't think Bill's going to get hired again by the NFL. Like I'm just running through this real quickly. You go through the Big 12. Dillingham, to me, is a college coach. There's no one really else out there in the Big 12 that I could see. You know, Coach Prime, I don't think he's going to get offered a job. You look at the Big 10. We talked about Ryan Day. We talked about Lincoln Riley. Dan Lanning, that would be a guy I could see coach of the NFL, but he's a college coach to me. And he told me before, he once had aspirations to be an NFL head coach. He said this to me last year, but he no longer has those desires anymore. But outside of that, Jed Fish maybe, just because he has an NFL background. Shiano's already done it, so I don't think that's going to happen again. Let me just take a quick glance, just running through all of them, make sure I don't miss anyone. And I don't think Kirby Smart has a desire to be an NFL head coach. I think he'd be terrible, too, as an NFL head coach. Man, that's pretty much it. And then let me just take one last glance. Just go into the ACC and just see if I missed anyone. Yeah. Seriously, outside of Belichick, which I don't think that would happen. I think that ship has sailed. Sark, Marcus Freeman, Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day. I don't think there's a list of a ton of candidates that could potentially be that are in college right now that could be NFL head coaches. And I don't there are some guys, right, that could leave a job and then go be a coordinator and work like Jeff Hafley. He was a head coach at Boston College. And now he's in the running for some of these jobs. And he's been the defensive coordinator the last 2 seasons, I believe, at Green Bay. And now he's in the running for an NFL head coaching job. But making that jump from college head coach to NFL head coach, there's just not a list of a ton of guys that I'm sitting there saying, yeah, I could see it. Like Matt Campbell, I know his name's been speculated for years. I just can't see him being an NFL head coach. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go to Alberta, Canada. I was in that area this past summer. Let's go to Lake, who's next up on Alberta, Canada, right here on the Zach Gelb Show. Lake, what's happening?
Hey, Zach. Just wanted to talk to you about Josh Allen's performance. Did you hear what he said after that?
What, after the 6 touchdowns that he got?
Yeah, he said he didn't think it was a very good performance because he threw 2 interceptions.
Well, I think that's a good mentality to have, Lake, especially when he's just going to sit there and say that he's never satisfied. And but yeah, you throw the football that many times and you got to be Superman. You probably know this that you're going to make some mistakes along the way when the team basically says you got to go do everything. You know?
Yeah.
Are you a big Bills fan?
Yeah, I like the Bills.
What do you think about the game tonight, Bills and the Texans?
I think that's going to be a good game. I think CJ Stroud's out, so that's going to hurt Texas' chances for sure. But yeah.
How old are you, by the way, Lake? Just wondering.
I am 11.
11? Wow, you got a lot of knowledge for 11 years old. Do you want to? Are you a big sports fan, right?
I love sports, yeah.
All right, who else do you like? Who are some of your favorite players?
Ooh, I like looking into this. I like Shedeur Sanders. I want to see how he does on the Bengals.
Yeah, well, Shedor's got a big game this weekend, and we're going to see what happens up against the Raiders. You think Shedor's going to light it up for the Browns?
Yeah, I think Shedeur. I think it's going to be a pretty good starting debut for him.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it. So, what are you going to eat tonight for the game? What is your family going to let you eat tonight when you get ready for a little Bills Texans?
I'm not sure.
All right, what do you want to eat? Like, what do you tell mom or dad? Hey, this is what we got to cook up. We got the Bills and the Texans tonight. You're a big Buffalo Bills fan. What do you want?
My dad makes really good brisket, but.
Oh, Lake, yes! Oh, that sounds delicious. Do you like chicken wings?
Yeah. Yes, I love chicken wings too.
Ranch or blue cheese, Lake?
Ooh, ranch.
Ah, Lake. That's a bad answer, but you know what, Lake? You seem like a good kid. Appreciate your calling. Thanks so much for listening, all right?
Okay, have a good rest of your day.
You too. There we go. Lake in Alberta, Canada. I think that's our best caller ever. He was phenomenal. Broke my heart, though, on the ranch stuff, though.
I told Stu you were going to hang up on him if he said ranch.
I had to. He was kind of playing with my emotions. Goes brisket. He says brisket. I'm like, yeah, all in. There we go, Lake. All right, chicken wings. Ranch. What up with the kids these days? What's up with I can't even say the youth of America. He's calling from Alberta, Canada. I had some good wings. When I was making my way to Banff and I landed in Calgary. I had some good wings. Got right off the plane. Maybe made a little stop that Stu would have enjoyed with my buddies. Then we sat down, had some dinner. Then we made the hour drive right to Banff. And boom. Everyone told me the food in Banff was going to be terrible. I don't know if people are just bad at selecting the right restaurants, and maybe that's just a skill of mine, but I did some research. I had some delicious food in Banff. Absolutely loved it. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Tell you, Lake sounds better than like 95% of our callers. He knew a lot there. I was very impressed by him. All righty, real quickly, let's get to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. So there's a report out there, longtime Eagles reporter Derek Gunn, D-Gunn. I know D-Gunn a little bit when I was in Philly. Well-respected. Not a hot take guy, like not one of those slimy reporters, just well-respected. He was doing a show with Seth Joyner and Mark Farzetta. And he was basically saying how the Eagles players and coaches are frustrated with Jalen Hurts because he's holding on to the football. He's being a little passive. He's tapping the football when there are throws to be made in certain windows where he's got to take those shots. So here we go. There's players, there are coaches that are frustrated with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts gets asked about this, and he was asked, and he responded to all the reports out there that there are some within the organization, or as they say in Canada, organization, that's for my buddy Lake, that are frustrated with him. Let's listen up to the Eagles quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by anything. I mean, this is kind of the nature of the position, like I said. But, I put my energy and I put my focus on trying to go out there and do my best and trying to learn, trying to build, trying to take in the things that I can to improve.
And then let's hear from Jalen Hurts. He says he does hold himself accountable.
I guess I get a lot of attention when things are going well and when things are not going so well. And so I never run away from holding myself accountable. And I think that's exactly what I've taken the approach of doing. When I look at this last game, I take great pride in what we do on offense. I take great pride in how we go out there and play as a team and what our flow is.
Here's the thing. I got to see some more emotion from Jalen Hurts. And I've said this before. I think he's too robotic at that podium. I got to hear a little bit more from Jalen Hurts. Like, I remember interviewing him once after the Eagles punched their ticket to the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl he played in. I'm like, Jalen, how do you process it? Kind of take me through your emotion. Eagles go to the Super Bowl. And he's like, we're going to the Super Bowl. I understand you want a quarterback sometimes to be like this. Sometimes you got to ride the highs and lows. And one thing I like about Jalen Hurts is he's a point guard, right? He's not going to sit there and care how they win just as long as they win. But the last 2 weeks, even in wins, it's been sloppy. And let's look at this Eagles kind of run that we've been on. I don't know what I was doing with my hands right there. But they're going through like a wave. That's what it is. They're going through a wave. The wave. And when you go through the wave, a few years ago they were 10-1. Everyone saw they were leaking. They won one game down the stretch. Last year, there's problems early on in that season. Put it together, won the Super Bowl. This year, it's starting to feel like it was 2 years ago, where they're winning, but it's kind of ugly how they're winning. And yeah, I get it. If the defense keeps on playing the way that they do, it may not matter how many points you score. Like, look against the Packers and the Lions, that game was 10-7 and 16-9. They won both of those games. So for Jalen, it's clear him and AJ are on the same page. They don't like one another. At times, Devontae Smith isn't happy. I wonder what everyone else thinks, though. But if they're watching film, the coaching staff and the players, and they're seeing that Jalen's just not taking those chances, yeah. With how it does feel like it's AJ against Jalen, guys are going to start picking sides, and then it get even uglier, and people keep on talking in that locker room. Eagles play the Cowboys this week. You know how much that game means to fans in Philadelphia, even though the game is in Dallas. It's going to be very interesting to see, because the Cowboys could score. But the Cowboys can't stop a nosebleed. So it's going to be very interesting to see what performance we get from the Eagles offense up against a rancid Cowboys defense. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Let's go to Rick in North Carolina next up on the show. Rick, what's happening?
Hey, Zach, I love hearing your show, like your positive, upbeat attitude. When I heard you mention Banff, Canada, I went out there about a year ago with my nephew because we were spreading some of my late wife's ashes out there because she'd always wanted to go to Banff. And, oh, my God, we got spoiled because we ate so many bison tacos and elk tacos that when we came back to Charlotte, it's like, where do we get elk tacos? And, of course, they're laughing at us. Although if you're ever in Charlotte, some of the best wings south of Buffalo are at Moosehead Grill in Charlotte, North Carolina. Moosehead Grill. The guy moved down from Maine about 25 years ago, and oh my gosh, they got Grecian chicken and the best wings south of Boston.
Wow, that you just sold me. I have a buddy that moved to North Carolina, to Charlotte, North Carolina. So maybe I'll end up making a trip down there. And the local guys, WFNZ, Mac and Bone, I go on their show each and every Friday in the football season.
Mac and Bone cracked me up. They cracked me up. When Frank Wright was coaching the Panthers, he had so little enthusiasm that I called Mac and Bone and I said he could demotivate a squirrel, and they were just cracking up.
Yeah.
But anyway, but one more thing. I was listening to Hickey this morning. He was filling in for Ryder.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm off work today, so I was just running errands, listening to you guys all day. And he was commenting on the interview of God, now I'm blanking. The guy that was an NFL punter, and now he's a big talk show host.
Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he was talking about McAfee's interview of the Mississippi coach.
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. And he was saying how McAfee was only asking softball questions. And it's like, I'm not surprised a bit. I saw this guy, I was just flipping channels, and I saw him at University of Miami go up on a high dive, and I'm expecting the guy to dive. He jumps off like a little 4-year-old. My 4-year-old grandson jumped off a high dive just like this guy this summer. You know, it's like, what's the big damn deal? So anyway, I'll shut up, but come down to Charlotte and go to Moosehead Grills for the best wings south of Boston.
Yeah, and Rick, sorry for your loss and all the best to your family, but really do appreciate you calling in and giving us the perspective today and the food recommendations. There he is, Rick in North Carolina. I like the McAfee bit off the diving board. And also, like, I like Pat. You know, Pat, we used to work together here at the network. I met him a few times. He's always been supportive of me. It's a different type of interview. It is. Like, he's not going to grill someone, but the guy's been super duper successful, so whatever he's doing is obviously working. But yeah, like, if that was Lane on our show, it would be a little bit of a different interview. I'll get to one more. Rick in Myrtle Beach next up on the show. Rick, go ahead.
Hey, Zach, how you doing? By the way, I was just telling blue cheese by far.
Thank you. It's
absolutely.
You're a sane human being. No offense to Lake, our little buddy out there in Canada, but come on, you got to get some tough love.
He reminds me of my son.
Uncle Zach Uncle Zach is telling you this: if it's a chicken wing, ranch, or blue cheese, don't say ranch. You got to go blue cheese. Sometimes kids make stupid decisions, but that's life. You make a stupid decision and you learn from it.
Exactly. Hey, and I'm originally from Chicago, but I live here in Myrtle Beach. That's like putting ketchup on a hot dog doesn't belong. Anyway, hey,
did you ever go to the Wiener Circle, by the way? Did you ever go to the Wiener Circle in Chicago?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
yes,
they just
I have.
berate you?
Yes. Oh, it's ridiculous. Yes. I've lived here in Myrtle Beach for almost 30 years, and I'm 57 years old. But a Bears fan, obviously. My two quick questions is, Ben and Caleb, I know they're starting to gist, and we've had some. In fact, my son and I were at the Cincinnati game, and I'm going with my wife to the Philly Bears game Black Friday, and I'm gonna wear a gray hoodie. I want to make it out alive. I asked Perloff on his show. What do I wear? He said, "Don't wear your colors, man."
I would probably wear neutral colors there. I like going to games in Philly, but you never want to ask for it. You never know, especially with the holiday weekend and people just getting intoxicated. Have you ever been to Philly before?
I have. My son and I have been to Cubs Phillies game. Totally different story.
Are you getting cheesesteaks?
Oh gosh, yes. Oh yeah.
Do you know where you're gonna go or no?
My wife has it. She's from Philly.
Okay. Delisandro's, Angelo's, Mama's. Those are the top three for me.
It's not Pat's, and it's certainly not the other one.
She probably likes to go to gyms or something like that, I would imagine.
That's it. That's it. But hey, my question to you is this. I mean, I get it. You know, the Bears have played some easy ones, and we've squeaked by. And we got a test kind of this weekend with the Steelers, which, and obviously, and then the Eagles. But we have a hard schedule. We have a hard schedule, way worse than the first half. But give me your opinion on where we're going.
You're moving in the right direction, Rick. That's what I could say to you. I appreciate the phone call and good luck on all the travel. But you're moving in the right direction. Like, I'm not the biggest Ben Johnson fan. I'm not the biggest Caleb Williams fan. But you're winning games that you wouldn't even have come close to winning last year. And, yeah, there's no doubt about it. The schedule picks up in intensity. You get the Steelers, the Eagles, the Packers. Forget about the Browns, the Eagles, the Niners, and the Lions. So it definitely picks up in intensity. Even the Browns have a great defense. But you're 7-3 right now. You got to go make the postseason. That's the expectation, especially when that coach told me that he's going to get better as the season does go on. But they're winning games that they would not have won last year. At the end of the year, you got to feel good about the coach and the quarterback. And if you do that, regardless of the win-loss record, you know that you're in a good spot. But with that being said, you're 7-3. When you're 7-3 this late in the year, and you still got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games left? If you go 3-4, you're sitting there with 10 wins, and 10 wins could, not necessarily will, but could get you into the playoffs. Vernon Davis going to join us next. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All righty, we continue. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's go out to the guest line, welcome in someone we always enjoy talking to, and that, of course, is former NFL tight end Vernon Davis, who is here with us today on behalf of Smirnoff. Vernon, always great to have you on. How you been?
Good to be here. I've been good. Thanks for asking.
Well, let me start you off because the Eagles, to me, in the last 3 years, there's been a lot of drama, right? A few years ago, they were 10-1, then they only won one game down the stretch. Last year, some drama. They won the Super Bowl. This year, they have a good record. But then a report emerges this week that players and coaches are growing frustrated with Jalen Hurts because he's holding on to the ball too long, not taking some of the chances at the throws that are out there. You have a team that's winning. You've been in locker rooms where everyone's on the same page, I'm sure. How would you kind of approach this? Because they could go win a Super Bowl again if they could all get on the same page.
Yeah, I think it's very important to be on the same page. You want to make sure anytime you're seeking to win, you want to make sure the synergy is there and that you don't implode, because that can definitely happen, especially if you come from winning a Super Bowl. You know, I remember I was in San Francisco and we just imploded, man. We had a lot of success, and that success can sometimes lead to a disaster. It's just being able to just remain focused, stay calm, and continue to work together. But you know, we all have our problems within a team setting, but hopefully they can bounce back and get it together.
But let's say you were in that locker room as a veteran player, because I think when you're younger, it's a whole lot different in this league. But it gets created that this is an issue, you know, from afar between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. If you were a veteran on the offense side of the ball in the locker room, would you maybe step in and try to find the middle ground between the two guys?
Yeah, I think it's understand. I'm not quite sure what their relationship is. I don't know what the problem is. I don't want to put I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but it's like, yeah, I don't know what it is. But the best thing that I've seen in cultivating a relationship with your teammates is it's not what you do when the camera's rolling, not in the locker room, but outside of that. What are they doing outside of the locker room? Hopefully they're spending time together. If they're not, that could be the issue. It's all about trust and connection, you know, and a lot of times when it comes to receivers and quarterbacks, that there's always seems to problems can arise if the receiver isn't getting the ball, right? Maybe if I'm AJ, I'm maybe taking, you know, my quarterback out for dinner, for lunch, or having a weekly outing with him to make sure we have a great relationship.
It's like a reality TV show, Vernon Davis here with us. You look at the 49ers, right? Mac Jones was playing well. Brock Purdy was out. Brock Purdy then comes back in last week. They beat the Cardinals. They had the Panthers on Monday Night Football. Just what's your view, you being a former San Francisco 49er? It seems like Brock is so polarizing and there's so many different opinions. What's your view on Brock Purdy as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think Brock has really solidified himself as a QB1. We know what he can do. We know what he's done. He's been in some unique situations, some tough situations, and he's gotten himself out of it. He's been consistent, and I like that. I used to tell myself all the time, I got to see more of Brock Purdy for me to become a fan and for me to take him serious. I think we can take him serious now. He's very talented. He's talented, but I think also a lot of the other pieces has to be there, you know, from defense, special teams, offensive unit has to be there, and the play calling. It all works together in order for a QB and a team to have success.
When you look at the NFC, we talked about the Eagles. You got the 49ers, the Seahawks. The Seahawks just lost to the Rams. The Rams are in the mix as well. The NFC North, it's a traffic jam right now with all those teams beating up on one another. You got the Bucs in the South. Is there one team in the NFC that you say right now, okay, I could really see that team above the others get into the Super Bowl?
I say one team. I'd say the Patriots.
Okay, so when you go to the AFC. Okay, so you have the
Yeah, I'm gonna
Patriots.
go to AFC. I'm gonna take the
Okay.
Patriots.
How about the NFC right now?
I'm gonna have to go with NFC. I'd probably stick with San Francisco.
Okay, so Patriots, San Francisco in the Super Bowl, that would be something. What is it about the Patriots? Because, hey, that was a team that had 4 or 5 wins last year. They get Mike Vrabel. Drake May takes that next step. Some people like Cam, he's saying they're fool's gold right now, and that's starting a firestorm in the media, in the last 24 hours. Why do you not believe that the Patriots are fool's gold and they go make a run at this?
Well, look, you get to look at what's been happening, right? With their record, they're 9-2 right now. Patriots 9-2, potentially about to be 10-2 after it's all said and done this weekend that's coming. But you go in, you get a player, comeback player of the year like Stephon Diggs, who's been putting up numbers. I mean, this guy has come in and he's been on fire. Not only that, but you also have Mac Hollins to complement Stephon Diggs, who playing at a high level. I think these guys have something going. They have a good defense who hasn't allowed anyone a running back to go crazy on them, which is pretty good. And they're playing really well, sound collectively all together. You take that and you take a guy, you take not a guy, but you take a team like that who can do it and do it consistently like they have been, with a great coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I think you got something.
All right, let's get to the Broncos. They're also the AFC. You won a Super Bowl with them. They're sitting there at 9-2 as well. The offense hasn't looked great always throughout the year, but the defense is awesome there. Bo Nix has done a nice job the last 2 years. What's kind of your read afar looking at the Broncos?
Yeah, I think Bo Nix is like I said, it's hard to find a quarterback in this league, but lately it seems like teams have been finding these dynamic quarterbacks like Bo Nix, and he's dynamic, man. He's been through some ups and downs, but they were also able to bring a great cast of weapons around him, and they have a good defense. The coaches seem to be up to speed and doing a really good job. They got it. I think they got a winning formula, and if they can continue to stay consistent like the Patriots, I think they have something.
What do you got cooking today with Smirnoff?
Man, I got a lot cooking. Let me tell you, man. We got some cocktail sips. We got cool fits, sideline storylines. It's all about we do game days, man. And we do game days. Look, you better be ready. We have some varsity jackets. We collaborated with 3 cool designers. This is my 5th year with them, and every single year, especially when it is getting close to the Super Bowl, I'm always like just. I don't know. I'm not gonna say caught off guard, but I'm just like they come at me with some cool stuff, man, and I love it. There's a sweepstakes to win some merch, and that nowadays it's about the cool fits, and that's what these Gen Zs are about. So Smirnoff figured out a way to leverage that and bring in some cool designers, and I saw some of the designs, and I must say it's some of the best I've seen, especially when it comes to Super Bowl merch.
What else have you been up to these days? Obviously, I read a lot about you, and I feel like you diversify yourself in so many different things. What else you been doing for fun these days outside of Smirnoff?
Oh, man, I've been doing a lot of cool stuff. I just finished a show called Rock the Block there in their 7th season. I just wrapped that up. And let me tell you, that show has really, it just brings, I'm just super proud of myself for taking on something like that because I learned how to renovate and design. I'm super excited about that to show my new skills off to my family and friends. I just finished that. So that was awesome. I had a chance to really become family with a lot of the cast, like Brooke Hogan and Drew Lachey. That was awesome. Making movies, got a couple films coming out. Santa's Chair, Diamond.
But what is that like in the movie scene? That's got to. Were you more intimidated going on a football field or shooting a movie?
I say they're both. It's because I've been playing football all my life. It was, I wouldn't say that was intimidating. I would say movies could be a challenge when you first start out because if you're working with guys like Morgan Freeman, Bruce Willis, guys who've been in it for a long time, it's kind of intimidating because you have to bring your A game, right? And the only way to really have an A game is to have time in the space because the more you do it, the better you get. It can't be denied because from an emotional standpoint, it it's just something that lives in you, and it's pretty cool. It's creative. It's a very cool process and very cool to see the creative just just form over time. So
You did work with Morgan Freeman? Is that what you were saying?
yeah, I work with Morgan.
Oh, wow. What was that like? It's a legendary guy, obviously.
Yeah, he was cool. He was very playful, man. I didn't expect him to be as playful as he as he was. He's like a big kid, man. I'm not even lying. It was pretty cool. I didn't know what I was going to get from him, but even to see him work at 80 something years old the way he did. I mean, he was the first one on set, the last one to leave. But he also left me with some great tips and reminders. We had our first scene together. He came and he said to me, every action has 1,000 little actions, and it took me a little while to understand what he was talking about, but when I got it, I was like, okay, I get it.
He's Vernon Davis on behalf of Spirit Off. Vernon, we appreciate the time today. Thanks so much for jumping on board.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Vernon Davis, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Good conversation with Vernon and an interesting Super Bowl prediction, as he does have the New England Patriots going up against the San Francisco 49ers. We'll come on back. We will skip around the room, and we will get into who's a polarizing coach in college football when we return. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance, who protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Joe Burrow's made a quicker than expected comeback from his toe injury and went through a second straight day of full practice and looks to be in line to return Sunday. The Giants' Jackson Dart still has to be cleared from concussion protocol, but that appears to be a formality after he practiced for a second straight day, albeit limited today. The Bills and Texans battle in Houston to open Week 12, as the Texans have recovered nicely after an 0-3 start, winning 5 of the next 7. The last 2 have come without C.J. Stroud, who remains out with a concussion, so Davis Mills starts, and said the biggest goal to avoid turnovers.
The main goal of each week and what it has been is just going out there and playing efficient football, executing at a really high level, and trying to find a way to win the game. And we've been successful at that the past 2 weeks, and we're trying to keep it rolling in this third week.
The win tonight puts the Texans over the 500 mark on the season. The Bills a game and a half behind the Pats in the AFC East. Texans running back Joe Mixon has yet to play this year. ESPN reports his foot injury will keep him sidelined the remainder of the season. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is Rich Eisen. The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. Just say, play the Infinity Sports Network for the best in sports talk and entertainment.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All righty, last segment of the day. You could take Lane Kiffin out of the mix because this is why we're doing the question. But if Lane Kiffin leaves a team right before the playoff, and let's say he bolts to Florida or bolts to LSU, he would 1,000% become arguably the biggest villain in college football, and I think the most polarizing coach in college football. And I love Lane. I do. I think he's great for college football. I think he gives an opinion. I think he mixes it up with the media. He's not afraid to troll. You know, he likes the drama. He's a good personality for college football. But I do think a lot of people will turn on Lane if he leaves. Like, if you're a fan of LSU, you're not going to turn him. If you're a fan of Florida he goes to, you're not going to turn him. But I think the fan of everybody else, if he has a team in the playoff and he's going to leave and doesn't actually coach, I think people are going to be incensed about it. And they're going to be irate about it. So let's take Lane out of this. Give me a coach. We'll do 2 selections each. Give me a coach in college football right now that you view as polarizing. Stu, give me one.
All right, I'm going to go with Bill Belichick. I think going into this year, everyone was kind of curious what he would do at North Carolina.
I was at the cheerleading competition for Jordan Hudson last night. And,
I was enjoying myself with the forward rolls and all the backflips as well. But yeah, I am the head football coach at UNC right now. Bill Belichick here. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Day by day.
Yeah, and
day by day, no days off, no days off.
Yeah, it's day by day.
Yeah, day by day. All right, go ahead.
Obviously, the Jordan stuff kind of added to that as well, but we were really intrigued to see what he would do. I know a lot of people watched that TCU game, that first game of the season, Labor Day weekend, kind of a standalone game, and I just think that he is polarizing in a lot of ways, and there are a lot of people who are rooting for him to fail, people rooting for him to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he's one of those guys, and he was actually the first guy I thought of.
KP, what do we got? Chris Persiani, give me a coach that's polarizing.
I think we got a little James Franklin'd out after the whole firing, the plethora of discussions, and then now the hiring. But I got to tell you, when you say polarizing, I try and think 50-50 split. And when I think about James Franklin and the discussion around he brought this program up from the ashes, the fact that he never brought them to the top of the mountain is okay, versus what's the point?
Yeah.
Why do any of us have standards? Why do we keep score? Why don't we all just hold hands and be? So I think it's so fascinating because I personally have no idea what the right in quotes side of that argument is. So I would easily go with James Franklin here. The hire kind of irrelevant to it.
Yeah, so I think some people call me a James Franklin hater. I couldn't stand his guts the last 3-4 years. I think he's a really good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I don't hate James Franklin going to Virginia Tech. Just don't make the lame excuses when you lose. I think Virginia Tech is a really good landing spot for him. I'm going Coach Prime, right? Polarizing. You either love him or hate him. There's no gray area with Coach Prime. And I think Coach Prime is a lot more good than bad for college football, but now he doesn't have Shedeur, now he doesn't have Travis Hunter, and the team has 3 wins right now, and there's 2 games left in the season, so they're not going bowling. So I definitely think Coach Prime is polarizing. Stu, coach number 2.
I'm going to go with Lincoln Riley at USC. Obviously, he had a lot of success at Oklahoma with the Heisman-winning quarterbacks, all the ones that he had there, and bringing that talent to USC. Obviously, he did coach Caleb Williams and brought him along with him, but since then it's kind of been really disappointing up until this year, and he's complained about schedules, kickoff times, which I think people don't like.
Does a lot of bitching.
He does a lot of complaining, so I think people don't like that. But on the other side, I think people do still view him as kind of like a offensive genius, if you will. So I think, there's those two kind of fields to see how they view Lincoln Riley.
Chris, next one. Chris?
I'm going to cheat.
Okay.
I'm going to take someone who is, I would say, mostly expected to be a college football coach once, if hired somewhere, but is currently not one. I'm going to go with Brian Kelly.
The Tiger family.
I just think it's
he is polarizing.
This show notwithstanding, I think it's a good pick. I think it's a good follow-up in our draft here to Franklin, and I think Kelly is someone who, I don't think it says 50-50 with him. I think people kind of almost love to hate him at this point.
Oh, yeah,
but
he's a douche.
He's made that the situation for himself. So I don't know. And I think some people would say they want their coach to be someone that everyone else hates, but they love in the building. So I'm going to go with BK.
Let's go to Dabo Swinney as the last selection. Dabo, the Aw Shucks act. Everyone loved it at first. Oh, he turned around Clemson. He took Clemson to the these great heights, these inconceivable heights. And the last few years, he has spoke against NIL. My program has been built in God's name, image, and likeness. He has spoke against the transfer portal. And every time he loses, he acts like an ass and makes an excuse. And Dabo Swinney has gone from respected, one of the best coaches in college football, to where people truly root against him. I'm surprised he didn't make this list. So Percy Iden had Franklin and Brian Kelly, even though Brian Kelly got fired. Stu had Belichick and Lincoln Riley, and I had Coach Prime and Dabo Swinney. Let me just throw a name out there who I happen to like. And I was texting with this guy yesterday, and I'm a big fan of his. And I think he's great for college football. Dan Lanning, a little polarizing. Dan Lanning, I like him at Oregon. But he's a guy that he hasn't won a national championship. Did win a Big Ten championship the first year of the Big Ten. Lost to Kalen DeBoer twice in the final year of the Pac-12. But with that being said, I think he's a guy, when he wins, he likes to throw it in your face. And I just wonder if some people view Dan Lanning as polarizing. I like Dan Lanning. I'm a huge fan of Dan Lanning. I'm one of the biggest fans on national radio of Dan Lanning. But I just wonder if people view Dan Lanning as polarizing. Him and also Kirby Smart, I think, are two names that those are two names I just wonder where people are at on those fronts. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Fun show today. Enjoy the game tonight, if you can, between the Bills and the Texans. We'll see if it's anything to really talk about tomorrow. But we'll be back on a Football Friday, and we'll get things rolling tomorrow right at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. We'll give you NFL picks. We'll take a look at the slate that we do have right in front of us for college football, and we will get you ready for another Football Sunday as we are inching closer and closer to Sunday. So looking forward to the show tomorrow. All right, you can follow me Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you do so at Zach Gelb, ZachGelb, or you can follow me on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. Talk Mignon, everybody. Big thanks for tuning on in. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.